it in there because it's important.
Okay.
Call to order this workshop for the budget of 2026 with the Siloam Springs Board of Directors, December 2nd, 2025. Roll call.
Blair.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Wiles.
Here.
Hunt. Rissler. Allen.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Thank you all. We do have a quorum. The only one to look is Mindy, and I'm sure she'll be here probably a little later. So, no, you don't think she's coming?
She texted and said that she would not be here this evening.
Okay, so she will not be here. Thank you. Okay, so with that, we are ready, I believe, to move into our workshop. And Betsy, you had something you would like to say?
Yeah, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I assume we're starting with Parks and Rec where we left off?
That is correct.
Okay. And I want to bring this here where all the directors are, since we work as a team and nobody decides things on their own. I did have a citizen come to me who watches the meetings and talked about quality of life and parks, and has asked where around town we have parks for little ones, the little play equipment, besides Benton Street and Lake Francis. And we don't have any other parks around town for the littles. So as long as we're talking about budget, I would like to put it out there to maybe create more parks around town for little ones. I know I know we need land, and over on Lake Francis, it was a repossession kind of thing. But I would like people to start thinking about it and see if in the future, yeah, I'm like, who am I looking for? See if in the future, and Travis, if that would be a priority, if it's something the rest of the board agrees with also. And kind of in that vein, and I don't know if it's too late or if the rest of the directors would be interested in this. One of the things from the parks that got destroyed was there was a swing for children with special needs. And my understanding is it was very expensive and it's never been replaced. I would like, if the board so chooses to vote on that, that maybe we could replace that, use some of the quality of life money. I also understand one of the reasons it got destroyed was because typical kids play on it. And I didn't know if there was even, and I know this wouldn't stop all of it, a sign, explaining something, at least then if parents are around, they might say, hey, stop, this isn't for you. So that's something I'd like to put out there because I know, I don't make decisions on my own. It's the rest of the board. But that's something I would like us to consider. And since we're talking about individual things, I would also like a list of everything individual directors have asked for to be put in the budget. So we can decide as a whole if that's something we want. And then anything like that individual directors have asked for money to be spent on in the last couple months. So, and I don't mean like there's a window broken, go fix it, not repairs, but other things, like I just asked for a swing or something like that, so that we as a board can decide if these are things that we want in the budget. So, thank you.
Madam Mayor?
That's all.
Yes, Lisa.
You mean outside this meeting or just inside this meeting? Because last week we discussed a lot too.
Right, outside this meeting.
And then can we include those things that we've discussed in this meeting like last week on her list?
Yes, we can include the things that we discussed last week on her list. That's not a problem.
Okay. I had it on my notes too. We did stop at Parks and Rec, and David had some questions, and I wanted to kind of, if it's okay, finish off where I left off. One of the things I had is we've been contacted in the past about adding more ADA equipment at the park. Have we considered adding more ADA equipment? Because we have facilities here in our community, and we have individuals with disability, and they are restricted on what they can. I have a nephew that has cerebral palsy. He can't just go up to a swing and swing on a swing. He, at that age, he was in a wheelchair. And so having more of it might help than just one piece of equipment. And could we consider, like Betsy was saying, out of the quality of life? On sidewalks, do we make sure those are ADA compliant, like when they, because I've seen in some parts of town, when you're walking down a sidewalk, there are mailboxes in the sidewalks, and if you're pushing a wheelchair, it makes a difference. And I know, so, yeah, Chris?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Chris Paxton, Director of Administrative Services and Engineering. One of the things that we do check during the, when we have new subdivisions that are being developed, the city engineer does verify that the new subdivision or the new projects that are coming through meet the ADA standards. One thing to note is that with new subdivisions after December the 12th that come through, the new UDC will come through. And any submission at that time will have to have parkland dedication for certain types of proposals. If it requires parkland dedications, if they propose an actual park, those also have to meet ADA requirements. Some of our, and I won't speak for other department directors, but some of our parks are legacy parks that would predate some of the requirements. However, any new type of development has to meet ADA standards upon development.
So when we go in and to do maintenance, say a sidewalk is needing repair, do we see what we can to make it even at that point? I don't suggest going out and tearing up a good sidewalk to make it.
Sure, and I think I'll deflect part of this to our Public Works Director, but I would say that we have taken some actions over the past couple of years to bring some sidewalks into ADA compliance. We've had projects where they, for example, panels and sidewalks may shift, and they have shaved those down to ensure that they come into compliance. ADA compliance is not just the access for new stuff, it's also can come out of compliance based off of maintenance needs, and those would be handled by the Public Works Division.
Yeah, as far as like point repairs on sidewalks, we don't widen them or do anything different. We kind of just match it up with whatever's on each side of the sidewalk. If we were to do like a large section, maybe like a full block or something like that, that is definitely something we would consider. But if like on Washington Street or some of the maintenance projects we did this year as far as sidewalks go, if we're just doing, you know, a square or two or whatever of sidewalk, we're not going to
Right.
widen it and then
Doesn't
bring it
make
back
sense.
down.
It's not
Yeah,
cost.
exactly.
It doesn't justify the cost. Okay.
Yep.
And the last meeting, we've had some emails since then on some of the discussion we've had. How do we do we wait? Do we make is that what the list is going to do? How do we bring those up to be part of the discussion when we go to vote on the
So
budget?
I did email Heather. I forwarded you her response, but basically, the board can reach consensus here, and we can make the change in the budget, or the board can vote at the time that the resolution is brought before the board if they want anything changed.
So
Right
maybe
now,
if-
it would just
I know,
be
it's-
direction by consensus.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Brad.
so I just remind us that the Parks and Recs Board for the past couple of years, since I've been paying attention again, when I took my sabbatical and came back, is I think the solution is us giving input, creating a Parks Master Plan so that we can address those. And it's part of that goal setting that we need to get back on track with so that, you know, we get those things done. But a Park Master Plan, even when we're off the board or not, whoever extends out, that way we stay on track. An example was, you know, the last survey showed Bob Henry Park is a pretty high priority. Sager Creek was a priority. So parks in general, I looked back at what we were proposing as quality of life, you know, before we went to vote. And a lot of that was this discussion here. But, you know, just coming up, I think a master plan would make sure that we stay in line and get those things done instead of, you know, just putting dots out there. And I mean, we need some consistency so that it's maintained and, you know, all those sort of things. So that's my suggestion, just based on input from that Parks and Recs Board.
Do we already have a Parks and Rec master plan?
No.
We don't have a plan right now? Okay.
They need one.
And I think that's been my frustration, and I think I've
Yes.
voiced it at the last meeting, is we talk, and we do no action, and we need to start
I
doing
think
some
what I
action.
said last year when I was running was, I like plans because plans work, state of the plan.
Not if you just talk and no action.
I did say that.
Yeah.
I've been confirmed.
If we don't put action behind our words.
We can do it.
But we don't. We haven't, and we need to. I agree.
I believe we will, and I believe that's really the solution. I dug even deeper to 2009 when I was a city employee, and we had a Sager Creek action plan. And I irritated staff because I got stuck at 2013 in the archives. He treated me as a normal citizen. I wanted to dig deeper because my brain was foggy. And we had an action plan there. We didn't have a funding mechanism. So now we have that funding mechanism. And so, that's that plan. We can go back and take a look at it. And that would be my suggestion as part of that. I think that's really the solution.
So then can we add a Parks Master Plan
certainly
to
can.
that list?
That would need to come out of quality of life,
Right.
because there's not
And, yeah.
general fund money available at
Right,
the moment.
absolutely, because part of that is what I've heard, and I'm talking about the littles. We have bike paths and walking paths, and we have stuff, and new neighborhoods are going to have little parks, but the rest of town is lacking, especially for the little ones, for families to go take their kids to the park. And then also, if there are more parks, then there can be more of the swings and things for kids with special needs. So.
Yes, Reed.
Madam Mayor, parks, when we work with the parks, do we also consider what's happening in these developments where there's going to be a planned development and there's a park within that? Do we try to correlate with that, or is that a separate entity item, nothing to do with, or?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
So when a private development has a neighborhood park, typically that would be on the homeowners association, so that would be an amenity within that neighborhood. It is not atypical for them to offer a fee in lieu instead. So when the UDC, the Unified Development Code, for those that may be listening, goes into effect and we have these parkland dedications, we would expect either a neighborhood park to either be dedicated to the homeowners association. Likely, if they offer that to be dedicated to the city, it would have to be approved it would start by going to the city administrator. Depending on the size of that property, it would have to likely go to the board. When we're taking in new properties, we have to ensure that the proper processes are in place to accept that property. We can't, if it's 25 acres worth of parkland dedication, for example, then that may exceed what staff would be comfortable accepting versus a small neighborhood bench park is a little bit of a separate instance. But when we have those that may be dedicated to the city, we would likely coordinate those with our Parks Department. We would discuss those if those meet the needs. Right now, we don't have a master plan to compare those to.
So, yes, we will take that into consideration.
That is definitely something we can take into consideration, yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, David?
Got several questions for Travis about money that has been dedicated in the budget. It looks like for the coming budget, the capital outlay has been lifted up by $1,000,001, 121%, from 900,000 to over 2 million. And when we look at that, a lot of it is matching to grants. That's right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. There's in the current proposed budget, what I'm seeing here is the 3/8 cent sales tax funded projects $350,000 would be match towards a grant from Arkansas Economic Development Commission if we receive that grant. And then there's $533,000 allocated to the Sager Creek Twin Springs match, which we have received.
So on
So
the,
$883,000 out of quality of life this coming fiscal year that would be matched to larger grants.
of the 3/8 sales tax. But then there's other matching grants, like the Sager Creek restoration. So in terms of Sager Creek, we're over 1.2 million for Sager Creek that we would match if we get the grant.
Our match in the current budget is set at 533,000, and and then the Walton Family Foundation is contributing, almost 700,000.
Oh, that's not a match as well?
No,
Down at the bottom, the grant-funded Sager Creek Restoration WFF grant, 666. So
Correct.
it's in here, but it's not really money that we spend, it's money that's granted to us.
Yes, sir. That's
So it
correct.
really doesn't count as taxpayer funds.
Correct.
Okay. So that's just confusing to me because it's in the list and it looks like, I thought maybe it was a matching, like we still had to put up that's our half.
No,
Okay.
it is really a 2-to-1 match.
Okay. So really, the only for sure is the 533 in terms of to Sager Creek that
Yes.
we would
Yes,
have
sir.
to match. Okay. I was doing some totals here on City Lake. We have $143,000 that has either spent this year or projected for next year's budget. We've got $323,000 to the trail system around town, which part of that is at City Lake as well, but I'm a little lost as to why we just got the Woka Trail open and there's already $115,000 for Woka Trail repair. Can you come up to the podium?
Sure, yeah, that'd be easier.
I thought since we just opened it, I'm a little shocked that we would already be spending that kind of money for repairs on it.
I'm not seeing the money you're talking about for City Lake, but for the Woka Trail, there's a section, a pretty large section that, and maybe Brad has seen it, where there's a big gully next to the trail, like a wet weather creek. And we've had some pretty major storms over the past couple of years that have changed the course of that creek. And it's jumped over probably 40 feet from where it was before. And now it is undermined the trail. So there's a pretty long section of fence that's already collapsed into the creek along that trail.
Was it poor planning on the routing of it?
Not necessarily. I don't know that, again, I'm not an engineer, but I don't know that a person could have foreseen that the creek would have jumped like that.
Is it 2 years old? Is it?
It's about 2 years
That's
old.
what I thought, yeah.
But this is one that would be critical. We're probably one big storm away from the trail in that section getting undermined.
Well, I'm all for if there's danger to runners or walkers, yeah. So I just wanted an explanation because it seems so new.
And if you had a question, I wasn't quite sure where you're asking about with the other trail repair, but
Well, like on City Lake, going down the list, trail repair, City Lake, 80,000.
okay, yes.
City Lake bridge repair, 40,000.
Yep, so City Lake Trail Repair, that would be several areas that since the construction of that soft surface trail have washed out every year. I think we've had about 7 or 8 years of trying to go back with the same material and patch it, and it has never worked. So this funding would go towards doing concrete repair of those areas that continue to be washed out. And then the bridge repair would be for in the area that's called the Enchanted Forest that goes over Flint Creek. in the backwaters of the lake. Same sort of situation as on the Woka Trail. Over time, Flint Creek has moved, and the abutments that hold the bridge up are now exposed. And so we're also a couple of floods away there from having those abutments being standing in the creek.
Okay, explain to me on the cemetery, you have new cemetery office for 30,000, and then you have cemetery office renovation that we had in this year's budget for 15,000.
I can comment on that, Director Allen. What we have done is we have went out and assessed the cemetery house. It's in very, very bad shape. As far as fixing it, I believe that it's almost a complete tear down. So what we have looked at in the meantime is like a small house to be put out there. We found some of these pop-up type houses that we could put out there pretty cheap, and be able to give those guys just a place where they can go and hang their hat while they take their break. And
Why would we spend 15,000 this past year and now we're gonna?
I don't believe we've even spent a dime this.
Well, it's listed as revised budget, 15,000 for cemetery office renovation.
I can comment on that.
Yeah,
That was put in this year's budget. You know, I'd say Parks has changed departments a couple of times this year, and I think the hope was that, okay, the 15,000 that was put in this year's budget wouldn't even be enough to begin to touch what needs to happen with that house. And I think the hope was, let's go ahead and replace it. And so the direction that we got was, let's wait until next year and see if we can't just replace the whole thing.
Does this have to do with the so-called chapel that used to be the mausoleum?
No, sir. There's an old house, 60 or 70 years old, that currently serves as the cemetery office.
What is the mausoleum? What are we doing on the mausoleum?
There are currently no plans for the mausoleum. It was a building that was constructed in 1908.
Yeah.
That served as a mausoleum for some time. In the 90s, everything was removed. A little work was done to it, but it's sat vacant since the 90s.
I thought I'd seen it on a list of capital projects that we were spending money to renovate.
It would be on a long-term list if years
But
down
it's
the
not
road.
in the-
It's
it's not
at
in
a
the
point
budget.
now where it should either be demolished or restored.
Really?
So the city would need to decide that at some point.
So it's not in the budget now?
No,
then?
it's not in the
Okay.
budget.
I had seen it, and I was gonna ask where it was, because I knew I'd seen it. I think you're right, that was that long-term list of, wish list or whatever. But I hate to think of tearing it down because of its history with the Brown family and John Brown University. The other thing I had, we still have not cleaned up Sager Creek behind the Benton Street. There's down the Benton Bridge, there's still trees that have sat there for so many years, and I brought it up every year, and nothing ever gets done. And so that part of the creek it's so overgrown and wild, and it just doesn't look good for a creek that's actually in city limits that we're supposed to be taking care of.
I believe that's on private property, that portion.
But it's the creek. How can the creek itself be on private property? Because we have the dog park on one side and the Felts on the other side, but how can the creek be on private property? I mean, we've put that bridge around the corner, so.
I believe the bridge is on city property and the other part is on Feltz's property, but we can certainly have the engineer.
I mean, when you cross the bridge, we have gotten down there and cleaned up the creek to the north of the bridge and around before it gets to University. So I don't understand why we've not been able to clean up the bridge. I mean, the creek south of the bridge and around towards that walking bridge. That's the part that I brought up over the years, and I just don't understand why it's been ignored. We brought up the Parks Committee, but in terms of Twin Springs Park, I see sidewalks that are crumbling, sidewalks that have been there long before I was born, and pieces of them are broken off near the walkover bridge. We got 3 different kinds of park benches in terms of style. I don't know if we've changed the policy, but at one time, the restrooms for the amphitheater were locked. You know, the Moss House, the hillside is so overgrown, and that's the kind of thing I think Parks needs to be making a project to clean it up and make it look nice. The rock walls of Sager Creek that have been there 100 years, there's no railing. I've always said it's dangerous. There's not even a knee-high railing to keep a kid from falling in. It's a wonder we've not had somebody hurt, because the railing along the creek by the East Main Bridge that goes around to the walking bridge, there's just no railing there. And I've never understood why we don't do something proactive to keep someone from falling in. I know we have plans to address the falling, or the rock walls because of that problem. That, I guess that's probably part of the Sager Creek renovation that needs to be updated. But I just see a lot of things that I wish our park board members would go and look at these things and actually bring them to meetings and say, we need to address these, because I just see things that have been ignored. We've got a nice fountain. When I was a kid, there was goldfish. I don't know why we can't have something for kids to be able to feed the goldfish or something. You know, that seems minor, but, and then we're putting stuff online about changing the color of the fountains to match the holiday. I'm like, we don't need to be doing that. We just need to clean them up and make them look nice and make sure they work all the time. I think that's a nice addition, is to just make sure they always work, and to keep the creek cleaned out of messes. So as far as I know, that's all I had. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Travis.
David, Travis, thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you, Jason.
So on, I know you just sat down, Travis. So just in general, at the city lake, I noticed that is that the county that put the cement culverts over there? By
Yes.
the pond? And are they gonna run that underneath the road?
I haven't heard. That'd be my expectation.
Because that's an example of, and I've spoke to you this before, and unfortunately for city staff, I'm a walker, and the erosion starts at a project that, you know, I approve, but it starts at Davison Road, and it drains down, and it's amplified that drainage. And it's another example of, I know we worked well with the county, but that's not been my experience. I think we have a problem there with, some of it's us, with hard surface, and then we've discharged it into a drainage, and it backs up at Davison Road, and then it releases, and it's changed the hydrology of that drainage. And it's the same way on Woka. I've spent some tractor time there, because our access road for the electrical department and water line was part of the erosion, and it blew out a culvert there. And so we put in a lot of large stone and SB2 to try to bolster that up. But those water events, you know, it's concerning in that area, and it's concerning in other areas in town, and they're not gonna get any smaller. And so it's just it amplifies itself at some major levels. Looking at the 2000, I'm switching gears on you, but when we do master plan and looking into next year, I'll bring in some old action plans that we had, and I was a city employee, but the board at that time had a vision for Sager Creek. And it's kind of interesting, and it'll be an interesting, if we get a workshop next year, to dig back through what they were thinking in 2009, because the numbers look really good in today's world. You know, they were 100,000, now it's crazy town, but we had some vision, and I just like to continue that vision. Some folks are still in the community, some are on the board, so some are no longer here. But I think it'd be healthy and help in your budget that we stay to that and take a look at that. But the erosion that's occurring on Flint that's going in and where it's switching out in there, is there any way to work with IRWP like we did with the golf course to do some stream bank stabilization so that we can keep that, you know, after we do the repairs, you know, how do we keep that channel from wanting to go? Because I paddle it with a dog, and I've been, you know, I know where it's at, but we're going to have to get proactive in that stream bed because it'll just rear its head again in 5 years or less.
Sure. I don't know if IRWP has any grants available. I do know that from experience, that kind of work is about $400 to $500 per linear foot. So those projects get very expensive very quick. And yes, you're correct that Flint Creek, particularly the bridge, is going to need a lot of work if we hope for it to last for any length of time.
There's just any way in-house, and it may be outside of our wheelhouse, but, you know, as we remove trees or whatever we do, keep collecting those stumps, because I know tree stumps play an important role in that stabilization of the bank.
Potentially, all of that would have to go through pretty long Corps of Engineering permitting process and have a big plan attached to it. So yeah, they can definitely use those stumps with about 10 to 12 foot of stem on them, but not in just setting them back and putting them in. It would have to be part of a bigger plan approved by the Corps.
And switch gears again to the Chautauqua Amphitheater and the hillside. Before I ran for this position, some people saw a homeless man cleaning the hillside. That was me with the homeless man. But I uncovered the steps. I did some work. I just talked to Phil Stokes. I think I'm going to get with Lonnie sometime this week on the city side to do some removal of those invasive trees that block the view from the KIA Memorial, which will open up the view downtown. But in addition to that, you know, there's just going to be some volunteer work, just like there's going to be some volunteer work being done on that now that all the bugs are dead. And then the Reach Foundation's been pretty good. They don't really care what we do over there. And we did remove a homeless person there that was encamped there, pretty entrenched there with a pretty nice setup.
That wasn't you also?
It was not me. My wife let me stay in the house. But there is some effort there to be done, and I think we'll do a little prescribed burn there, open it back up. You'll see in the spring, and it just takes a couple of years, but you'll see that open up. All the old growth trees are staying. And you'll see old sycamores, pines, and stuff like that. Because there's an old postcard, and the work we're putting in there, I think, you know, we can make some pretty good headway with some volunteer people.
Well, I brought it up because I knew you had brought it up before, that hillside, I knew you had.
It'll make a great setting. It'll all blend in together, so.
So,
And I'm under the impression that's also not city property, that's Reach Foundation property, but.
Yep, okay, part of it is you.
so, this is a great conversation, but I don't think it's something that we're going to put in the budget or future discussion. So is there anyone else that has questions about the Parks and Rec budget? If not, Christina, we will move on.
Court revenues begin on page 22. The revenue is in line with prior year.
I'm sorry, what did we move to? I missed.
Courts.
Courts, thank you.
Expenses begin on page 23. Personnel decreases are mainly due to the retirement of a highly paid individual. And overall, operations are in line with prior year. The transfer is new based on the accounting requirements for the automated funds. Capital outlay is listed on page 24. And budgeted positions are on page 25.
Any questions about the court? I think we can move on.
All right. Library revenues begin on page 26. You'll see quite a increase in the revenue. The city now qualifies for a portion of state library funds. There was a change in the law. Expenses begin on page 27. Personnel increases include the raise and increased health care based on elections. Overall, operations are in line with prior year. Capital outlay is listed on page 28. And budgeted positions are on page 29.
Yes, Lisa.
As we're looking into increasing utility rates, is there any place in the library we can save money or bring in more revenue? Like, should we consider increasing our fees? Should we look at our hours of operation? Are they feasible? Are they, what can we look at to make sure? I know the library's not going to make money. It's always going to operate in the negative. But the age of technology has brought in a different world for libraries. And so libraries across the country have looked at different ways to balance that. So what have we done?
So we have not done anything to change our operations. We have talked a little bit about increasing the rental rates for the rooms. But without closing down the library for a number of hours, there probably is not a lot of other savings to be had.
Do we find that the library, there's times that there's large blocks of hours that there's no patrons in the library?
I'm not sure about that, Jason.
Stephanie keeps a track of all that, and we can give that information for you when I see her tomorrow.
Okay, because some libraries have changed their hours, because a lot of times they've found, I don't know what time the library opens, because I usually, they found opening later and closing, earlier, or being open more on weekends, and more like 3 to 7, where people are off work. I'm just curious because, like I said, other libraries across the nation have done that because of the technology age. Is that something we can look at in-house as we try to show citizens that we're trying to do our part?
Sure, and I'll get those analytics over to you.
On the janitorial, is that across across the board on all the divisions? Is that going up 8%? Is that the average? Is our janitorial going up 8%?
No, it's for the library. We're looking at increasing that to help clean the fees for the after-hours guests that use the rooms. That's what we're looking at.
Increasing those fees, or this is an expense?
Yes, that's the expense that we have somebody come and clean.
Oh, after the meetings?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And part of, if we're going to increase rental rates, I know that there's limitations on renting the rooms. Have we done anything with the locking where we could do a code, where we could do a fob, where we could do something that allows for easier access? If we're going to charge more, if we're thinking of even charging more, we should make it available.
Yes, ma'am. We've I've been working with IT and Stephanie with that, and yeah, this shouldn't be a problem. That's something that we're going to do.
Anyone else? Yes, David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Christina, on the personnel on the last page, if we're making do with 4 part-time clerks, why do we have to go up to 6?
It's based on the budgeted hours. So the hours budgeted for next year are the same as the total number of hours budgeted for the current year. Right now, they're taking those hours and spreading them, the total hours, and just spreading them across the 4 individuals. So the total number of hours has not gone up.
Yeah, they had 6 last year, but they've only got 4. So I'm saying, if we're making do with 4, why do we have to go up by 2 part-time employees? If they're working out now,
I don't know that we have to go up by 2. What I'm trying to say is those 4 people are doing the part-time hours for the 6. Does that make sense?
and why can that not stay?
It's
It's not saying if you show 2 more people on the,
well, it's not actually 2 more people. It's the hours is what Christina's trying to say. It's 6 part-time hours spread out throughout the 4, or 6 time people.
but it's 2 more employees. I understand you're not adding hours, I get that. But what I'm saying is if you have 4 employees that are part-time now, 2 more employees is 2 more employees, even if they have hours taken away, that are taken away from the other 4.
What benefits do part-time people receive? None. They can't participate in retirement, nothing.
Correct. Nothing.
I just ask, if it's working now, why change it? You want to have fewer hours for each part-time employee, so you add 2 more employees. I get it, it's all about hours, but I'm just saying, if it's working now, what is the point?
There actually has been a change in the retirement law where if they work over 20 hours a week, we have to start allowing them to participate in retirement, which is we do not want to do.
That's what I need to hear. Thank you.
Anyone else? What is our next? Christina, what is our next?
Community development, the revenues begin on page 30. And current revenues are coming in higher due to construction. And the increase is based on trend.
I see garage sale permits. There's a lot of people don't get a permit for garage sale. Do we do anything on code enforcement on that? I know there's a lot of code enforcement throughout the city that we do not uphold, but on that, I'm curious.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Chris.
If we, typically yard sales are on the weekend, so if we receive a complaint from the code enforcement side of the house, then we would address those if it's Monday through Friday. If not, then the complaint would have to go to the police department and they would have to investigate.
I just know on code enforcement, we don't do a lot of actual enforcement of the code on other things, and so so you're saying we actually have to have a complaint. We don't have a code enforcement officer go out and actually see that.
We do if it's during normal business operations Monday through Friday.
But you just said we have to get a call about it. We have to be called about it.
That's typically how we would find out about it. If they're driving around doing just rounds and they see one then that doesn't appear to have a permit, then they could stop at that location. But in my experience, we don't get a lot of those situations where people would get that type of complaint. So,
Thank you.
Yes, Brad.
I sent questions to through Christina to staff, and I appreciate your guys' response, even though a couple of my questions went to crazy town on you, and I agree. I was off the hook on a couple, on some numbers. But one was code compliance. You gave me a very nice response. I only read the first and last sentence, and then a lot of you was in there, a lot of book stuff. So having said that, I know it's a challenge. It's always been a challenge, code compliance. I took a picture, which I will show you later. Just, in my neighborhood, I don't call people in because it's just, I can't do it. That's a tough job, and I get it. Having said that, looking out in 26 and 27, and most of it is in the city, in older parts, and now I'd use Patriot Park and some other subdivisions are starting to also take a turn. And I feel once again, we need to somehow, and I know there's a lot of legality, but we have got to address that. And I don't know if the answer is adding more staff, looking out to the future, supporting them as board members and giving them more teeth, because that's always been a thing. I'm not in the rental business. I don't have any rental properties. So I know enforcement's been it's a catch-22 thing, but looking out in the next budget cycle or something, I just feel like we need to add more. Maybe one needs to be on some weekend hours. I don't know what that looks like, but for your consideration, I appreciate the response. It was more of just, it's always been a challenge, and I know it'll continue to be a challenge, but as we grow, if we don't get on top of it, it's gonna really blow up on us, especially, Patriot Park, as an example, it could be any neighborhood, but that's been there a while now. And, and then we move on to these other neighborhoods, we're happy with them, but we forget what happens in the neighborhood over time. And so that's, my concern when I'm voicing to you guys on that. But I appreciate it. I know it's a challenge, and I know you're up to the challenge.
Thank you, Brad. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I've
Yes,
got
David.
a question. Betsy brought this up last year about uniforms. I know it's minor money, but it goes up 300% on this one. What are the uniforms of? What with community development, what uniforms are there?
So primarily, one of the things that we're looking at is upgrading our uniforms for the code enforcement specialists. Code enforcement specialists do have to have some sort of special identifier that would identify them as a code enforcement specialist, specifically on the sleeves. They do need shirts, and we're looking at the possibility of jackets that would still provide that identification on the sleeve, and it would still identify them as a code enforcement specialist separate from a police officer. What we don't want to do is confuse our code enforcement specialists for code enforcement officers, where it currently says that in the ordinance, and we'll be bringing something forward in the next few months, most likely, because our code enforcement specialists are not uniformed police officers and should not be confused as such. That's why when you look at a code enforcement badge, it's a different color. It's easy to distinguish the difference. And we're trying to work with the police department to ensure the safety of our code enforcement specialists when they go to the field, so they're identified properly when they confront people about potential violations.
Is that the only job in your department that has a uniform?
I would have to get back with you on that because I do have fleet, and I would need to see if any of the fleet people have uniforms too. I believe that they do have tops.
I'm just curious, but I see your point, and it's a great point on making the distinction. So, and I don't think it was this department. Betsy had brought it up on another department, and it's like, if we have employees that are getting uniforms just to replace their wardrobe and that they're sitting at a desk 24/7, I just don't understand why we have people get uniforms. But that's not the case, of course, with you. So I was just curious. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate the
Just one more note
explanation.
on that. We also have some field crews that are the building inspectors, so we have jackets that we provide to them as well, so.
Yeah, they need to be identified, so that makes sense. I appreciate you explaining it.
Anyone else? Yes, Lisa.
Christina, can you explain on the professional fees and the engineering fees, what is covered under these? Because I would think that engineering would be a professional fee.
So, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
The engineering fees are listed separately because these are the fees that we are paying to engineering that is being paid out of streets. So it's an interfund
For streets?
for streets.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what's covered under the professional fees? What are we?
That is if we hire an engineering firm or surveying firm
An
or
engineering firm outside of streets?
outside of the city,
Okay.
yes.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's it. On the NWA Planning Commission fees, what caused the reduction?
Are you referring to the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Commission? I didn't hear you, I apologize.
Yeah, no.
So annually, those come to us based off of population trends throughout the area, I believe. So those, I believe that those are provided to us from Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Commission based off of populations of the different jurisdictions because we split those costs, I believe.
That's what I thought, but are we not growing? So how did it go down?
We are growing, we are not growing as fast as some other places in Northwest Arkansas.
Mayor, on a side note, Chris, is anybody going over to the Jones Center? Aren't they having a planning on transportation coming up?
I believe I have some staff that plans on attending that. I would deflect to the city engineer. I believe he has some more information.
Yes, that is correct. On Monday, the 8th, beginning at 4 o'clock, the 2050, I've spaced the term that they actually use, but I will be attending that.
Thank you.
All right. Do you have anything?
I'm just curious when we're having our next budget meeting before we close it. Real quick.
Thursday,
This Thursday at,
6, is that right?
I believe this one we scheduled for 5:30 for the meeting. We were coming back into town for that
Okay.
meeting that was rescheduled.
Okay, all right.
5:30, Thursday,
30.
5:30, so 5:30 next Thursday.
Next or this?
This coming
This
Thursday.
coming Thursday, I'm sorry. This coming Thursday, 6
That is
o'clock.
what, the
Here.
4th, December 4th
It's at 5:30.
at 5:30.
5:30, I'm sorry.
Not 5.
I'm confused, and I'm confusing them. This Thursday at 5:30, budget workshop. There we go.
Sorry.
Yes, no, that's fine. All right, with that, we are adjourned. We will reconvene at 6:35. Call to order the Siloam Springs Board of Directors meeting for December 2nd, 2025. Roll call.
Blair.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Wiles.
Here.
Hunt. Rissler.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
At this time, if you all will please stand with me as Director Allen leads us in a word of prayer. Please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here tonight to make decisions for the best interests of all citizens of Siloam Springs. We ask you to give us wisdom and guidance to make everything for your blessing and to make the people of our city pleased and proud of the decisions we make. Look after our military men and women around the world. Look after our president and vice president and our governor and lieutenant governor and everyone who serves in a public role. We ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to ask anyone that has an electronic device, please silence that or turn it off, whatever's easiest for you, so we don't have an interruption during the meeting. And I appreciate that very much. First on our agenda is the public input time. I would ask if there is anyone here that would like to address this board on an item that is not on our regular agenda. If so, if you would please come to the podium. I will need your name, your address, and if you would, please make sure that you kind of speak slowly so our clerk can get the correct
notes.
name. Yes, so we've got everything on the record, and then after
enough.
you have done that, then you will have 3 minutes. Your time will start after you have given us your name and address.
Okay. Mike Armstrong, and the address is 3602 Northwest Creekstone Boulevard in Bentonville, 72712.
Thank you.
Okay. Like I said, I'm Mike Armstrong, and I'm running for family court judge here in Benton County, Judge Schrantz's position. I want to introduce myself. And I'm running for this spot because I believe that this community deserves judges who are experienced, who will listen with compassion and with empathy, and who will always put children and families first. And I will be that judge for our community. I've practiced law here in Benton County for over 20 years. Early in my career, I was a child sex abuse prosecutor here in our county. And I saw things I wish I never had seen, and I learned of things that I wish no child ever had to endure. But it taught me just how critical our courts are and our judges are in protecting our children. And so for the last 15 or 16 years, I've handled almost exclusively family law cases, the same exact cases that Judge Schrantz's court handles almost every day. That means that in that spot, I'll be able to hit the ground running on day one. I'll have an understanding of just how a decision made today is going to impact a family in 2 months or in 2 years. And I bring that experience to this position. That experience has also taught me that the most important skill a judge can have is listening. You can't do justice unless you're really willing to hear somebody, their fears, their struggles, their hopes for their children. At this point in my career, I've represented almost 1,500 or more clients and families in our community. And I can tell you that listening leads you to the truth just about every time. I really believe that. I'm married to my wife Amy for over 20 years. We've raised 4 kids together. And so I understand the hardships that families go through. And I know how important stability and fairness are to our families. When families break down, our whole community feels it. When justice is delayed or when children are left in a lurch, that hurts people in real ways, without question. And it's why this job is so very important. So here's my promise. I promise to always work hard for this community. I promise to approach every case with experience and patience and compassion. And I promise to treat every single person who sets foot in my courtroom with decency and respect and fairness, because that's what they deserve. And that's what our community is owed by our judges. So I'd be honored to serve in this position, and I hope to earn your trust and your support and your vote on March 3rd. And thank you again for allowing me to speak, and I'm going to stick around for the meeting, and anybody who'd like to talk to me, I'm happy to answer questions and learn what Siloam Springs is looking for in its judges. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Tim McDonald. I live at 104 Ruth Lane in Rogers, Arkansas, and I'm a candidate for Circuit Judge Division 8.
Okay, all right.
Mayor, directors, I don't think it would be an overstatement to say that in March of next year, Benton County will see the biggest change in judiciary in the history of the county. So you all may not realize this yet, but within the next 90 days, you're going to have 4 new circuit judges take the bench in Benton County. Those elections will determine who's going to start serving January 1st of 2027. You've had 7 judges here, 7 experienced judges, for a significant amount of time. What's happening now is 3 of those judges are retiring, and we're adding a whole new division. Division 8 is the division that I'm running for. So once we have these elections, you're going to go from having 7 judges that have been on the bench for a minimum of 6 years each to having 4 judges that are brand new that have never been a judge before. And there are things that you need to recognize that are important for those judges to have, right? I would say that is experience and a track record of public service. I'm running for the new criminal division. This is Division 8. You all are probably familiar with it. Your own Tyler Dees sponsored the legislation to create the new circuit judge position in Benton County. This was created based on an increase in the criminal caseload. And so they're adding a new courthouse out by the jail that's going to also house a new courtroom that will include new public defenders, new prosecutors, and a new judge. Whoever takes that caseload is going to start in January of 2027 getting a significant amount of the criminal cases out of Benton County and out of here in Siloam Springs. That person needs to have experience in criminal law and has to have a proven track record of public service. I've been a prosecutor for over a decade. I was a prosecutor in St. Louis doing gang-related homicide crimes before I moved here. I also was a prosecutor in Washington, D.C., where I did vice crimes. When I moved here to Benton County, I was kind of looking to get away from what I had done in St. Louis in that area. Unfortunately, there was a need to have someone step in and take over the crimes against children cases, which is what I've done for the past 4 years here in Benton County. Besides that work as a prosecutor, I've also been in the Army as a judge advocate for over 10 years. As a judge advocate, I've done both prosecution and defense work defending soldiers on drug crimes and administrative separation boards. And I've been appointed as a judge in UCMJ cases where you're determining probable cause on cases, the same thing that a criminal judge would do in a circuit case here. So my ask of you all is this. I believe that this is very important. I believe it's important for the voters in your jurisdiction. It's also important for everybody in Benton County. And if you agree with me that it's important that we have good judges, especially a good criminal judge, to help keep Benton County safe, do your homework. Look into the candidates that are running for these 3 contested races. Look into who's running for Division 8 for the criminal spot. See what kind of background they have, what kind of experience they have, and ask yourself, what kind of person do you want to be in that position? And who do you trust to keep Benton County safe? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else?
Randy Torres, 19208 Fisher Ford Road.
Thank you, Randy.
Well, as a state representative, I am privy to a lot of the reports of crimes against children, and it's just incredibly crazy how much is going on out there. So kudos to those of you that are standing up to run for judge. We need that. But on behalf of the Siloam Springs Chamber of Commerce, I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that Friday, December the 12th, we are having the Elevate Her Business Women's Conference hosted at John Brown University from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. It's a full day of really encouraging, inspiring speakers, one of which is Lieutenant Bartley. So it'd be nice to have some of you ladies show up and support her. So, and then this Friday, 7:30 a.m. at Dayspring Cards, we are hosting our First Friday Coffee, where we have a lot of fun, and we really want to honor Dayspring, as this will probably be their last event that the chamber will host. So, at that location. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Randy. And I will say that Elevate Her is a great conference. I would encourage anyone that can to attend. It's a great program. So, with that, is there anyone else? Okay, so at this time, we will move to our presentations. First is going to be our audit, I think. Christina, you're going to do that for us?
Here.
Yes.
Chris Cluck, as a member of Landmark CPAs, is here to present our audit to the board.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. As Christina mentioned, I'm Chris Cluck with Landmark CPAs, here to present the 2024 audit. I'd like to start off and apologize about the delay in getting this to you. We're waiting on the compliance supplement that was supposed to be issued in April of this year, and the government finally issued it last week. And so we were waiting on some guidance from that compliance supplement, and so that is the delay in getting these issued to you this year. To start off with, I want to direct your attention to page 1. This is our auditor's report. This is where we provide you an opinion on the financial statements as a whole. And I'm happy to report that we're issuing an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion that an accounting firm can provide to a municipality on their financial statements. Some of the other procedures that we perform is we test the compliance, the city's compliance with not only state laws, but federal laws and also government auditing standards. Those reports are on page 62, page 64, and page 72. I'm happy to report, based on our procedures, that the city is in compliance with not only state and federal laws, but also government auditing standards as well. I know you guys haven't had a lot of opportunity to look at the financial statements, so I'm happy to answer any additional questions you might have as it relates to the audit or our procedures that we performed during the year.
So directors, I know you have just gotten this, and Christina?
I'll be happy to send out, contact information for Chris. That way, if you have direct questions, he'll be happy to answer those for you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you to our finance director, because I think we've always had top marks with her in charge. Is that correct?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
thank you.
It's
for doing
always a
such good
pleasure to
job.
work with Christine and her team. So.
Yeah.
Anyone else? David?
I will just repeat what I've repeated year after year after year, that I would prefer the representative of the CPA firm to come after we've had a chance to review this. If these are sent in advance, that our board receive them and be prepared to ask questions. Instead, for year after year after year, it's been the same way. No matter who is at that podium, we get them the same night that we're supposed to be asking questions, and it's impossible. So I'm just waging my regular statement. Thank you.
Not a problem. I'm more than happy to come back if the board so chooses for questions. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that very much. Okay, with that, we will move to our consent agenda. Item A, regular meeting minutes, November 18th, 2025. Item B, workshop meeting minutes, November 4th, 2025. C, workshop meeting minutes, November 18th, 2025. Item D, City of Siloam Springs, Arkansas Public Education Facilities Board, John Brown University, reappointment of Ron Harp. Item E, budget amendment, Fire Department, reallocating unspent STFE funds for ventilation prop, Forge Fire Company ventilation prop, and VO2 max testing system, $35,000. Directors, is there any item that you would like to have pulled for separate consideration?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
Letter E.
Letter E. Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with item E pulled for separate consideration?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion is approved. David, item E.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our board packet has a single page on this budget reallocation. First of all, I'd like to request that any budget amendment, period, no matter how much it's for or what it's for, not be included in the consent agenda. It's money, the citizens' money, and we need to decide in a actual discussion, not just skipping over it in a consent agenda. My question on this is that we have no information what a VO2 max testing equipment and roof prop for training purposes. Usually when we purchase things, there's a description of what it does. There's no picture here, there's nothing. And I will harp on the same thing I've harped on before. We must run the city like a business. And no business ever says, well, we didn't spend the money on this that we planned to, so let's go find some other equipment to spend the money on. We do this over and over and over throughout every department. It's been for decades, and it just seems to be the way of any government, and it's not necessary. There is nothing wrong with coming under budget at the end of the year. Obviously, this equipment was not needed at the beginning of the year, so I don't know why in the 11th hour in December we're readjusting, reallocating capital funds. It's possible the money has to be spent, and I was going to ask Christina, the STFE funds, are they required to be spent by the end of the year, or do they continue on? They're tax money.
Correct. There's no requirement for them to be spent.
Well, even for $35,000, I don't quite understand. I mean, from what I understand, this is money that was allocated in the budget for the mechanics of the old fire truck downtown, in the downtown facility, and we didn't spend it, so we're then going to find something else to spend the money on. I just don't believe that that is a requirement that we should be doing. It's normal, what do you call it, standard operating procedure for federal government, all the way down to local, where money that's not being used cannot just go to the bottom line and say, great, this department didn't spend all that they needed, therefore we're going to be coming in under budget. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is one of many, many times in many, many departments that do the same thing of searching for something. And if we're going to do this throughout the year, and we have, and we do, I just don't see doing it in December when we're about to approve a new budget. Why this could not have been put in the 26 budget. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And on top of that, I mean, the biggest problem I had was that it's a one-page memo with no description whatsoever of what the equipment is that we're buying.
Yes.
Dustin, would you like to share with us what this piece of equipment is for?
Dustin Kittle, Fire Chief, Madam Mayor, board members. So this equipment, you're correct, Director Allen, the funds that were going to be used, we're going to go towards the old fire truck, the 21 LaFrancis downtown. That truck is still currently being worked on, and we will not take delivery back of that motor because that motor is down there getting fixed currently. But we will not be spending that money in this year for that. One thing that we wanted to do and have wanted to do is enhance our training facility. So the roof prop that you see on there is a, well, it is what it is. It's a roof prop that that accepts multiple different angles. It's very rugged built. It's a good piece of equipment for training and for furthering our training, especially when it's a high-frequency skill that is pretty risky, being elevated on a roof, cutting holes in roofs and stuff for ventilation. So that is what the roof prop is. The other element that we were looking at is this year we did our life scan physicals. And so the life scan physicals was a company that came in, and they did, scanned our carotids, all of our, internal organs and everything, basically a full physical for firefighters based. And what the VO2 max system is it's something that measures our ability and how we can perform work while basically doing, like having, sorry, I've got it right here. It gives us a score that tells us how much oxygen we are doing when we're performing our fire ground skills. And we can use that on hire, we can use that mid-year, and we can use that in conjunction with our life scan physicals to measure a firefighter's fitness for duty. And we can use that data and, you know, kind of trend it and model any kind of program if a firefighter is needing to be more physically fit to perform their duties better, to reduce any chance of injury or reduce any comp time or anything like that that might be incurred by getting hurt on the scene, then we can use that to model a program for them to help get a little bit more physically fit. So it was just two items that would improve, one, our training, and two, our physical fitness for the department. And so that's what we were hoping to utilize those funds for this year. When that fire truck motor is ready to be completed and we can pay for that, I've already put it in the 26 budget for those funds to be spent. So we were not taking away from that old truck and getting it back running to get these, but rather moving it to next year and utilizing the funds for.
So the money that you had allocated for the old fire truck was in last year's budget?
Yes, sir.
Where was it at? What was it listed under? Because I looked, I couldn't find it.
Was it under old? Can you look that up real quick? It was in there. I think we've moved it 3 years now. That motor's been getting worked on for 3 years.
Is it expected to make the old fire truck run?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. The intent is hopefully we can get that truck running so it could be in the parades and other city events if needed and wanted.
Christina?
So in 2020, in this year's budget, it is listed as the old fire truck restoration of motor, and it is listed for 2026 as the old fire truck replacement. So those are not they're titled a little bit differently.
Page 15 of the budget.
In the budget.
Page 15.
Madam Mayor.
Yes. David, is that answer your question? Okay. Lisa?
So on the training, do we have other agencies that use our training facilities?
That is the hope. As we continue to expand our training facility over the next couple of years, we do currently have other departments that come and train with us at our facility, yes. This piece of equipment will
Enhance their
Yep.
training. Do we charge for them to come and train with us?
We do not typically right now charge, but we have been putting together some documents that we're asking for some recuperation of some of the materials that we use for them to come in and use. Hay, pallets, drywall, things of that nature.
Okay, because as we're talking about the budget and we're talking about raising rates and stuff like that, and we've had this discussion, what are we doing internally to make sure we are looking at our budget?
Yep, absolutely.
And on the ventilation equipment that you were speaking of, does that help save money in the health savings? Have you looked into what does it do for our insurance? Does it
I'm sorry.
provide any benefit to our insurance? We're self-insured, right? So is there any benefit to if you're having this system? Have you looked into that?
Oh, for the VO2 max?
For the ventilation?
I don't know that it's going to save anything off the front end or for getting screening and all that. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, do we get any insurance break? Have we looked at how,
I don't believe so. Misty? Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, oh, go ahead, Director Blair.
I was curious, so once you get, and I understand the VO2 max and the oxygen, and it tells what your body is able to use, and the higher the better. So once you have this information, what do you do with it?
So basically, all of the information that comes from our physicals and then the information that comes from this, that goes straight to that individual, right? Because that's their individual health. That's, we got to protect HIPAA and all of those rights for those employees. But then they go and they meet, and LifeScan can help them meet with their primary care physician and follow up with any findings that they have. And that's kind of what they do now.
So is there anything in place, like let's say you're out fighting fires and we know you've got, I don't know what the scores are, but you have a mediocre score. How are you going to make that better? Is this information going to help you to go, oh, I need to do this to improve my score?
Yes.
And medical doctors are great, but they're going to look at it and go, well, your O2 levels are this and that, and they're not a rehab specialist who says you need to do this and that. So I guess that's what I'm looking for, is how will it specifically benefit? Who's going to teach them what to do to make it better?
Absolutely. So currently, right now, we are putting together a team within the fire department that will have gone to class and getting certified for taking in some of that information and routing those folks to the right place, to the right team to get help. Basically, this is all coming out of 1582, which is NFPA 1582, which is a standard that talks about health and fitness levels for firefighters. And the VO2 max right now is considered to be a gold standard within that to help measure one's ability to perform fireground tasks that we perform every day. So that, I believe that score, in conjunction with the physicals, in conjunction with our peer fitness team, will be able to, of course, decrease any of our chances of getting hurt, or decrease the amount of workers' compensation that we're having to deal with or anything like that. That's going to help decrease that, but it's also going to help our members just to be generally more healthy and have a better knowledge of their general health, other than just going to your PCP once a year and saying, yep, you're fit.
And that sounds good. It's the team I was looking for. What's the follow through? I have lots of information with this, but if I don't do anything with it, it
Correct.
means nothing.
Yep, without a team telling you what to do with that information,
Right.
It would be a waste of money, yeah.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Chris.
Chris Paxton, Director of Administrative Services, including Safety. I would also point out that the police and fire department are among our highest workers' comp claims for the city, and anything that we can do from a safety standpoint to increase that would be beneficial.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Brad.
Well, I'm gonna try to be as kind as I humanly can, but I would prefer that we just table this and you bring all that information with some nice pictures. I kind of requested that in the budget, and you responded back with a nice diagram of the training facility that you're acquiring for $250.
Yep.
So that's the board side of me that I think would be helpful to all of us. The other side of me is, that guy. And so, I'm a simpleton. And I understand the physical fitness standard, and, VO2 max is JBU stairs with air packs. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. When you get done with all this data, it's going to come down to you mandating your battalion chiefs and your captains following through with that. My concern is getting all this data together and then looking at a firefighter, paramedic, firefighter, EMT, a captain, a lieutenant, and discharging them because they're not meeting the requirement on the data gathered, because they become a liability, which is the workman's comp. I understand the need for the props because fire is becoming a low-frequency, high-risk event. because we have code enforcement, modern instruction, and your fire calls are way down, and you have a ton of green people. And I could go on about the fire truck. I will hold back. I would prefer you held that 35 grand back, rolled it into next year, you had 70, because I think that's what you're gonna need to get that apparatus on the road. That's the real side of me understanding that particular piece of apparatus. So, I would make a motion to table, bring us a presentation with all that data so we have time to look at it. And that's my motion.
Second. So I have a motion and a second to table until we get further information at our next board meeting. Okay?
Can
So
do.
roll call.
Wiles,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes?
Motion to table is approved. Thank you, Dustin.
a table
Do we
to when?
say at the next meeting?
Table until the next board meeting, yes. All right, next is staff reports. Planning Commission minutes, October 14th, 2025. Christina?
So the staff report for the minutes should have been attached to the agenda for your review.
Everyone has those. Any questions about those? There is not. We will move to our ordinances. Ordinance 25-30, third reading, annexation of a 176 acres, 14,000 to 15,000 block of Arkansas 59, and the 20,600 block of Bill Young Road. Ben?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the board, Ben Rhodes. What you have before you is the item that was tabled at last board meeting regarding the annexation. Again, this is, as the mayor stated, 14 to 15,000 block of Arkansas Highway 59 and also on Bill Young Road, proposing to go from R2 and A1 zones of 176 acres. We do not need we do need a future land use map amendment for the area that converts to regional commercial along the southwestern side to rural residential. I did want to make sure the board was aware that you did receive an email comment on this project. I believe it came in at 1:35 today to your email, so hopefully you guys received those comments. With that, we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Directors, did you all receive that email? I'm assuming you did. I saw that it came through, so, yeah. So, is there any questions or comments from the board?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David?
I just wanted to read an email from Christina to the board. Came through on November 24th. The statement that the developer has the ability to develop 1 acre lots with septic by right may have caused some confusion. The density will not change whether the property is in or out of the city limits because they will qualify for access to our sewer either way. The plot under development will not touch city limits and will not be required to annex to access city sewer. And then there's a list of comparisons and oversight between annexing and non-annexing. But it was a clear email chain from Chris to Jeanette, to Christina, and to us about the fact that this property, annexed or unannexed, will be able to attach to the city sewer system at their cost, but it will be easy for them to do whether they're annexed or not.
Thank you, David. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad?
So I was hoping and I'm at fault for, we got carried in a side conversation, the budget, but I was hoping we'd get to here, but we did not. So the extension of the sewer is budgeted, it's not there yet, is that correct? 600,000 budget to extend sewer up 59? Anybody?
Actually, I'm sorry. What it is we have been approached by Mud Puddle. They are required to put in their own sewer extension. They have told us that if we would like to upgrade that for additional capacity, we are welcome to do so before they put it in the dirt. That is what that money is in the budget for.
Where I have a concern other than what I've already mentioned, and by the way, I appreciate the conversation. I know you guys are just trying to do your job. But what's different about this property, it's not like any property that you've done before because it's Siloam. You know, we say no to $30 million investments because we don't like the location. So a housing division in a field doesn't mean much to me. What is concerning, and I'm pro-annexation, but the voters voted no on annexation. I mean, I think we're forgetting that. So when I see the 600,000, what I see in the budget is I see the 600,000 need to be placed inside the city because that's what the voters asked. That's what they asked of us. I voted, by the way, I voted yes on annexation, but the voters voted no because they wanted us to take care of infrastructure. And so when I look at what we have in the budget, which coincides with this development here, I look at 600,000 and I paid at my residence to tie into city sewer, and my house is just 20 years old, at a large tree. I paid $9 grand to rotor-rooter out so I didn't have to dig up the yard and kill an ancient tree on my property. And I paid $9,000 to do a liner to tie into the city's line. And I live on North Madison. As an example, you've done 2 patch repairs on North Madison Street from water leaks. On the corner of Tahlequah and Madison, there's a 2-hole quarry. I have one upstairs. Every fireman likes to have the 2-hole quarry because they're old. They make tables out of them. We have as a functioning hydrant that does not, cannot function. And so it jeopardizes the safety of the city. So when I think of infrastructure needs, and I think of extending all the way out there, you know, it doesn't make sense to me to spend that 600,000. It doesn't make any sense because the voters said no. So help me on that.
Just as long as you're clear, they are extending the sewer all the way up there. They have just asked us if we would like to pay the difference in price between the line size that they're required to put in and the line size that we would like to put in. That's all that money is. And that is something that can be discussed further and potentially removed from the budget if that's the board's desire.
That's my hang up outside of everything that I mentioned before, which is the runoff. And I'll give you an example of runoff, and we're about to experience it. And I have no problem with this project, and it's on North Simon Sager. We have a very large apartment complex going in. And so if you've traveled that road at all, you'll see the trucks pulling in and how much fill is being put in. Adjacent to that's Mudcat Creek, which goes in the UTS-1 site, which eventually is a contributory to Sager Creek. Once again, we don't have, as a city, has nothing to do with the developer, I don't believe we have the paperwork in place, our ordinances in place, to address runoff. I believe it'll be an inherited problem, maybe not on my time on the board, but as we continue to place hard service and we don't have things in place, and I grant the engineers, but I'll use another example. Another example is Hat Creek, the residents that were just here. That runoff on that was brought to us last time has nothing to do with Lawless. It all has to do with everything going back to the east, which is another subdivision that drained in, which is hard surface, and that wasn't managed properly. When they're running those numbers, it works for them, but they're not thinking of generational, and we're generational. I have to think the next generation, 10 years down the road, as that continues to develop. As that continues to develop and creates more hard surface, then we're in catch-up. And so that's where, you know, that's really where I'm struggling at. And from a development standpoint, you know, I don't have a problem with the quality of the homes. I understand what housing brings. This isn't Housing 101 where I get a lecture from a representative from a construction company tell me the value of housing. So we attend, you know, we're in touch with reality. We leave Siloam. We attend other conferences out there. I understand the value that they bring, but when the problems magnify themselves, the promise we gave from 412 to the city limits for the folks out by the airport, that street's never been done. And now we're gonna come in and we're thinking from Bill Young Road to Highway 412, we're gonna redo that road. And when I look at review the street master plan, it's nowhere in 26. And so I guess my end question after I go through all this, and you heard me last time, this is a 27. This is a 2027 thing. That's where I'm at with it. I just think of the development. I don't think we're there as a city. I'm not threatened by their, you do whatever you want. In fact, I'm a gambler, so I'm willing to gamble that you won't get the return on your investment. But if you do, let the county deal with it. That's how I feel about it. I just think in the 70-30 rule, I've got 70% of my questions are unanswered, and you brought me 30% with your correspondence. And I don't feel comfortable with it. And so that, third reading, that's my final stance. But once again, respectfully, I appreciate you guys, the correspondence, meeting with the neighbors out there. I just don't think it's a good blend between our A1 agricultural area and that being on our northeast corner of the city, and that's our transition. It's a struggle. And I understand, Christine, I totally understand, I understand all that, but that is a struggle, and it's a struggle based on, voters doing the complete opposite of what I voted for. But as an elected official, that's where I stand on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Directors, anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Betsy.
And I respect Brad's opinion. As far as the voters and voting no to annexation, I guess I view it differently. This is a voluntary annexation, not a forced one, and it's an annexation where they're going to do the infrastructure. The other annexation, we were going to take in areas that needed a lot of help and a lot of work. Whereas in this case, we're not responsible for the infrastructure and it'll be new. So that's kind of how I see it differently. But we all have different views on things. As far as the upgrade on the pipe, eventually we'll need that pipe, correct? I mean, is that fair to say?
That was Danny's assessment, Danny Furring's assessment.
So I kind of feel like, if we have the funds, somebody else putting it in for us so that we don't have the entire expense and then we just pay what we'll need for the future. To me, that seems like a good deal. And, at first, I will admit at one point, I was not for this, but it certainly looks to me like it's going to happen either way, especially if they can tie into city sewer. And the concern in the county is the fewer regulations. They'll be tying into city sewer, so they could put apartment complexes all over this property, just as far as density. So that's all.
Thank you, Betsy. Anyone else? Lisa? Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Reed?
Concerning the line, that 600,000, we're talking about, if, let's say, whatever's required, let's say it's an 18-inch line, and we want to put a 24-inch line, we would pay for that extra 6-inch
That's correct.
portion on it, okay. So it's not a necessity, but later on, as the city does grow, it would probably be prudent to have a 24-inch line already in place.
Yes, based on my discussions with Danny Farine, our superintendent, basically what he said was we're saving the cost of putting it in the ground. Like, we're paying for the difference in the size of the pipe, but they're paying to lay it. So So it saves the city money if we upgrade it now. That's the only reason we put that in the budget.
And at this time, they're looking to build regardless. So to me, the question is for us, do we want them to build this according to county standards and then we get to buy it later? Or we can have it brought into the city where we have an opportunity and a voice to help this be done according to the city standard? Is that a fair assessment?
Would be a fair assessment.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Lisa.
So when we're talking on the discussion of the 600,000 for the laying the pipes, putting in the pipes, are we thinking forced annexation, or because we know that people are not ever going to vote on that out there for a long time?
No, when the conversation that we had is as that area grows, we would already have the infrastructure in place. That's the only reason to put the money for the upsize of the pipe in there. It's just for the upsize.
For growth. That the citizens have spoke in 2 elections and said, no, we don't want. So I agree with Brad. They've said it clearly on 2 elections already.
As I said, it can be removed from the budget, but that has no bearing on whether or not.
For the other
For
project.
the other project.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor?
I agree with a lot, and I've said it in the past 2 meetings. I agree with Director Burns. We don't always agree, but we are actually agreeing tonight. I think that a lot of complaints that we have from our citizens is we can't even currently take care of our infrastructure, but we want to add more to our infrastructure. There's a lot of needs, not wants, needs in our community that we have failed at. And so now we're wanting to say, we want to add more. And the county actually does say no to some projects. I've watched, vote no recently on a project. And so I'm like Director Burns, I'd rather take a gamble and see, because I think we need to take care of our citizens right now in the area. And I have to say, Craft and Toll is an amazing company. They build they have an amazing service. Their bridges, their housing, everything they do, their commercial buildings is top notch. So it has nothing to do with the quality of the housing that's going in there, because I know Craft and Toll's reputation.
Reed, did you have something else?
Yes. I feel like we're making comparisons here that are apples to oranges when we're talking about the annexation that we put out as a city and it failed. Yes, but this is a company or an individual that is wants to annex, and yes, it is 176 acres. I don't think they are on the same plane. I think when you're wanting to annex versus voting to take over, basically, an area, I think there's a difference there, and I think we need to be aware of that.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
There's many times I've stood in people's homes with water up to my knees because we have flooding issues. We have not taken care of and dealt with the issues that we have within our city. And we're going to add more issues, not only to the city limits, but those residents out there that they can't come to the city and complain. They have to go to the county, and we're the problem. And so, and we haven't worked well with the county. There's a lot of projects that we have not worked well with the county. And I think that just does a lot for the residents out there, and it does a lot for our citizens in town, because we are not taking care of the drainage issues that we.
David?
Madam Mayor, thank you. I agree with Reed that this is apples to oranges. The previous annexation was a massive land grab that the city pushed to a vote of the people. You voted for it. I voted against it. And part of my decision was based upon input from the public, including families in the county where we're talking about right now. Being forced to get on city electric was going to cost a tremendous amount of increase in their overhead, and I heard a lot of city residents that just said, we're not talking a small piece of land, we're talking a massive, it's like a third of what our city is now, adding to it. And I go back to the growth plan from Mr. Patterson and Don Clark, and it was to annex. That was their growth plan. They said it, and I didn't understand it, but it was annexation meant more electric customers. And those were the staff that many of the board members here today fully supported everything they did. And when I heard at the last board meeting that this voluntary annexation, if they come in, if they don't come in, it's going to go to Carroll. It's going to go to Carroll Electric. And if we were required to buy them in years to come, it would cost the taxpayer millions of dollars to buy out Carroll. We're already having to do that we're swapping, basically. We're not spending millions of dollars, but if we did, it would cost us millions of dollars. This annexation being, if it came into the city, would be city electric. Revenue for the city, the citizens own the city. I believe we have to look at the best interests of all citizens. I've said it 100 times, not just a select group or a select special interest group. We have to look at what benefits all citizens. And the revenue from this electrically would be a boon to the city. The fact is, and it is an absolute fact, it is not a question whatsoever that, well, the county won't let them. No, this is a fact. Annexed or not annexed, the development is being built. The development will be able to get city sewer if they choose. They've already said they will. If the county is where they're located, then it's not going to make a whole lot of difference to the surrounding property owners because it's going to get built. If it's in the city, then the city will benefit and will have a control over how those homes are built. There will be regulations that are much tighter, much more enforced and controlled than what the county. I mean, where this is at is about as far from Bentonville as you can get almost, that it's not going to be a lot of control by Benton County. And there can be argument after argument about how much better it would be to be not annexed for the surrounding property owner. That's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense because they are going to hook on to city sewer. No, there's a desire that this not be there because of the potential drainage problem. I know that, I understand that, and I sympathize with it. The facts are, it is privately owned, and by American rules, you get to do on your own property what you want. So it comes down to what is the best interest for the citizens and the city, and that is to allow them to be annexed because they will then become paying electric customers versus the chance that down the road we'd have to pay Carroll to buy them out. And whether we annex them or not, they're going to be sewer customers. That's a given. So, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Betsy?
My understanding is that this developer is currently developing in Washington County. So to think that they're not going to go ahead and develop in Benton County, I guess I wouldn't take that gamble since they're developing in the county elsewhere nearby. And I agree with David. This is a lot of electric income, sewer, water income. I spoke with sanitation. They said within 3 months, they'd break even and start making a profit off of this area. And I also go back to, except for if we do this, enlarge the sewer, there isn't infrastructure to take care of. They're building it all. So we have this brand new infrastructure that doesn't require repairs, anything done to it. And then we have all the income, the property taxes, the electric, the all of it. And I think it's been made pretty clear, and when they get a chance to speak, they may say otherwise. I think it's pretty clear it's happening. So do we want control and do we want the benefit? Or do we want to give it to the county? Because if there are going to be drainage issues, they're going to be in the city or they're going to be in the county. There's a better chance it's controlled if it's in the city. Yeah, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. So it's happening either way. Do we want the financial benefit and do we want the control over brand new infrastructure that doesn't need work, that doesn't need anything done to it? Or do we want to let the county have it? Oh, I know, because my understanding is the way with the negotiation with Carroll Electric and everything that went on, we probably won't be able to ever afford to buy them out in the future. Is that correct, Christina?
Anytime that we purchase anything from Carroll Electric, it's 355 times the annual revenue for the meter plus the depreciated value of the infrastructure.
Okay, so by that point, then the infrastructure, we would be taking on more. And the way I see it is with the income and them not needing the work from the infrastructure, we can use the income to help other parts of town and address other areas of infrastructure, especially if it's going to happen anyway. And at this point, I have no reason to believe it's not going to. And my understanding is that Craft and Toll has a great reputation. I think they have a great reputation for a reason. So if y'all stood up here and lied to us, that would not give you a good reputation, and it would get around in Northwest Arkansas. So I do trust, based on their reputation and all the work they've already put into it, and meeting with neighbors, and I won't get the title right, an ecological engineer, whatever it is y'all have that's gone out and looked, and everything else they put into it. It doesn't appear to me that they do things halfway and that they're going to stand up and make promises that they have no intention of following through with. They've already worked really hard and invested in this property, it seems to me, tremendously, to go, whoop, not going to work, not going to be county, not going to be city. I might be wrong, but I don't see that happening.
Thank you, Betsy.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Lisa.
How does this affect either way, whether we annex or we don't annex? How does this affect the fire and the police department? The police, how does this affect them as far as calls out there? If we don't annex, are we doing calls in the county? Ambulatory?
I will defer to Chief Miller for the PD and Chief Kendall for
Madam
the.
Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, Doris Scott Miller, Chief of Police. The reality is it's so close to the city. It's within our fire district, so police or fire apparatuses with ambulance and fire service will have to respond out there anyway.
Well, police.
Police, a major emergency, county is going to request that we respond anyway. They will do the ultimate investigation, but under emergency, our police will respond to that location.
They're deputized in the county.
Some of us are, some of us aren't. But in an emergency situation, called upon by the sheriff, that gives us that immediate emergency authority to respond out there. Example, Coons Edition, we respond out there all the time. It's landlocked.
It's a little closer, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
Almost
it's,
in city limits. It's just one division. So you have an actual current staff of 64. You identify that you need 69. If we add this many homes, are you not going to need additional staff?
additional staff would be warranted, yes. But I think where we're at right now, we could handle, especially from what I'm hearing about the type of homes that are going to be built and things like that. I'm not expecting a huge call volume from there. The conundrum for us is the geographic displacement because of the sprawl of the city at this point. We don't have enough to cover all areas all at once.
Mm-hmm. And
But
the
that's
same,
current now.
and the same with fire.
I would echo the same thing that Scott's saying. We're going to have to respond out there because we're contractually obligated to respond out there for police and fire, or for fire and EMS, sorry. And at that intersection of Cherry Whitlock and 59, we already have a lot of car accidents there. So traffic accidents is going to be a driver of that call volume, I think. I can get you some data showing the call volume that we have in that vicinity currently, if you'd like, but yeah.
If this project is brought into the city, is there, because we do have issues with the traffic, the lights in that area, what enhancements will this project bring to, I don't know if that's them or you guys?
I think I know where you're going. So if we annex it in, unlike the situation like out at Lawless Road where it's not in the county, but we get traffic complaints all the time. If you annex it, we can address those traffic issues both on 59 and on Bill Young Road if it's annexed. Whereas if it's not annexed, we all have to address those issues with the county. And then the flow of traffic coming into the city we'll have to deal with also.
And how's this going to affect our response times? The fire department, it's a little different. The fire department's right there next door.
Well,
How does this-
obviously, we've done a lot of restructuring because of the growth of the city already, especially south and east of town. We would just restructure, rezone, already looking to put permanent zone officers, which means they're assigned to a specific area of the city. But I would imagine that if there is an increased call volume from this annexation, there would be a little bit more of a longer response time. But, I mean, we're still going to respond to it. I mean, our call responses are really good right now anyway.
Yeah,
So
ours,
I would
yeah.
hope that it wouldn't change too much.
Our citizens are used to top notch.
And again, I go by the quality of homes that they appear to be building and stuff, so I'm not anticipating it as if it were multifamily duplexes or something to that nature. I would be a lot more concerned about the amount of call volume.
Right. I think the call volume you would get in a neighborhood like this isn't the domestic violence. It isn't stuff like that. It's going to be
gonna
home
be
robberies.
Traffic, criminal mischief type complaints, typically some kind of vandalism, stuff like that would be our typical call. Maybe stolen property, hopefully not.
Just wanted to- Thanks.
Thank you, Chiefs.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
I called the question.
You have a call for the question? So with that, we will have no longer any input. And,
Madam Mayor,
yes,
I believe we've heard from both sides of this issue in the public. If there's people that have never spoken to us about this, that's one thing. But to hear the same repeated comments from both sides, that's why I called the question.
okay.
So it has been called, so I will ask for a second.
Second?
We have a first and second to call for the question. It will require a 2/3 vote. Roll call.
Rissler?
No.
Allen?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Burns?
No.
Wiles?
Yes.
We do not have a 2/3 vote, so the discussion will continue.
Was that to vote on the question or to vote on the issue?
That was the call for the question, and we did have to vote on the call for the question, which is what we just
That was the
did.
vote of the question?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. So,
Madam Mayor?
Not sure everybody understood that.
I have never had that in a board meeting, so I need an explanation, please.
okay. So when, according to Robert's Rules of Orders, whenever a director calls for the question, whomever is speaking, which at that time, there was no one speaking, everyone had spoken.
Well, I got the
Well,
floor.
except he, because there wasn't still people talking, okay, or discussing. No one had asked to do that. David did, and he called for the question. Whenever that happens, then I have to ask for a second. I have this all written down so that I wouldn't, but it is the debate. I have to call for a second. If there is a second for that call, then we don't have debate, we don't amend anything, we vote. But it does take a 2/3 vote of the board to pass that motion to call the question. If it had passed, then we would have then taken a vote on the ordinance itself, okay? But as it stands, that did not pass, so it is still open for discussion, okay? That makes sense? Okay, all right.
But I was
thank
saying,
you.
I don't think everybody knew we were voting the question
That is what
and
we
not
were,
actually voting the issue.
no, it was for the question.
So it was 4-2,
was
4 out of 6.
4-2.
That 4 out of 6 is not 2/3?
No,
Well, it has to be 2/3 of the whole, not the quorum or the majority present.
as per our attorney. Yes.
Madam Mayor, I second it because I really want to hear from the gentleman in the crowd because it is repeating yourself, and I think we've communicated well. But I just want, it is a struggle. It's this particular piece of land. I expressed to these gentlemen that I wish they would have brought the A1 portion as the 2 separate annexations. The folks they're working for choose not to do that. And so, that kind of tells you how I feel about that. But on a response time, I know that the PD and FD do have a long-range plan to expand to the east. We need to get off the corner of 412. I know they're proactively setting aside some of their funds. They do have a plan to address and reduce some of those response times. I do understand we are going to expand. I have no problems with that whatsoever. I understand buying raw land, annexing raw land is the best. I understand the buyout. I understand the utility customers. I totally comprehend all that. There's that side of me, maybe because I'm getting older, that we've done a poor job, myself included, allowing development that causes secondary problems, not today, but in our tomorrows. And today we're in those tomorrows, and that's why I struggle with it. But I know PD and FD do have a plan to address that future growth and reduce those response concerns.
Mayor,
Yes.
On the vote on the question, it is actually 2/3 of those present, not 2/3 of the whole. So it's different than suspending the rules. My apologies.
Okay,
So that motion would pass.
so that motion passed to call. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. All right, so.
I double-checked it because I wasn't sure, but I was
Okay.
wrong.
So with that in mind, the motion to call has passed. So I will then move on and ask, do I have a motion to place ordinance 2530 on its third reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
No.
Wiles,
Yes.
Rissler,
No.
Okay, that fails.
But
But we can ask for a motion without the suspending the rules, is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay, all right. Does that still require a 2/3 vote?
No.
No.
That's a majority vote, but
Okay. Okay, so
What does that
With
mean,
that in- with
not
that-
suspending the rules?
that means that Christina has to read
the entire ordinance.
the entire ordinance. So I will ask, is there a motion to approve ordinance 20, or to place ordinance 25-30 on its third reading, not suspending the rules?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. So what you're voting on is you're voting on the ordinance, to approve the ordinance on its third reading. If it passes, which it can pass by a 4-2 vote, Christina will then read the entire ordinance before we then go on to adopt. Okay? So you're voting again, but you're voting without that suspending the rules. Okay?
We don't have that choice.
That's right.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Burns,
No.
Wiles,
Yes.
Rissler,
No.
Allen,
Yes.
Motion is approved by a 4-2 vote. Christina, will you read the ordinance for us, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ordinance number 25-30, an ordinance accepting the annexation of certain territory described 14,000 to 15,000 block of Arkansas Highway 59 and the 20,600 block of Bill Young Road to the city of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, assigning the same to a ward and amending the future land use map of the Siloam Springs 2040 Comprehensive Plan. Whereas a petition was filed with the county clerk of Benton County, Arkansas, by the owner of the hereinafter described territory, praying that said territory be annexed to and be made a part of the city of Siloam Springs, Arkansas. And whereas on July 31st, 2025, the County Court of Benton County, Arkansas, found the petition was signed by 100% of real estate owners in said territory, that said territory was contiguous and adjoining to the present corporate limits of the city of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, that an accurate plat or map of said territory had been filed with and made part of said petition, and that no enclaves will be created if the petition is accepted by the city of Siloam Springs, and whereas the annexed parcel of real property is contiguous and adjacent to other lands in Siloam Springs, Arkansas, which are located in Ward 3, and whereas Goal LU-1.B of the 2040 Siloam Springs Comprehensive Plan states that when a requested a requested zoning designation is more appropriate for a particular parcel than the future land use map's recommendation, the future land use map should be amended to accommodate the desired use. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Board of Directors of the City of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, Section 1, Description, that the following describes lands and contiguous territory adjoining the City of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and as shown on Attachment 1, B, and the same is hereby accepted as part of annexed to and made part of the City of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, a part of the west half of the northwest quarter of Section 34, Township 18 North, Range 33 West, Benton County, Arkansas, more particularly described as follows. Beginning at the southeast corner of said west half and running thence north 87 degrees, 33 feet and 40 inches. Minutes and seconds. 33 minutes, 40 seconds west of 1,235.88 feet along the south line thereof to the eastern right-of-way of Arkansas State Highway 59, thence following along said right-of-way, north at 2 degrees, 46 minutes and 53 seconds, east 510.85 feet, north 7 degrees, 7 minutes and 37 seconds, west 40.61 feet, north 3 degrees, 56 minutes, 56 minutes and 43 seconds, east 150.03 feet, north 13 minutes and 59 seconds, east 150.27 feet, north 2 degrees, 8 minutes, 26 seconds, east 468.77 feet, north 2 degrees, 49 minutes, 13 seconds, east 1,081.27 feet, north 5 degrees, 12 minutes, 31 seconds, east 237.88 feet, north 2 degrees, 23 minutes, 33 seconds, east 5.93 feet to the intersection with the north line of said west half, thence leaving said right-of-way along said north line south 87 degrees, 36 minutes and 4 seconds, east 1,231.62 feet to the northeast corner of said west half. Thence south 3 degrees, 2 minutes, 43 seconds west 1,022.69 feet along the east line of said west half to the southeast corner of the northwest corner of the northwest corner of said Section 34, thence continuing along said east line south 2 degrees, 47 minutes and 35 seconds west, 1,322.61 feet to the point of the beginning, subject to all easements, rights of way, and other restrictions of record. And the east half of the southwest quarter and the east half of the southwest quarter of the southwest quarter and a strip 1 rod wide off the north end of the west half of the south quarter of Benton County, Arkansas, all in Section 27, Township 18 North and Range 33 West. Bless and accept that part that was deeded to the Arkansas State Highway Commission in Deed Record 2006, 22862, and being described as follows. Part of the southwest corner of Section 27, Township 18 North, Range 33 West, Benton County, Arkansas, more particularly described as follows, commencing at a point being used as the common corner of Sections 27, 28, 33, and 34. Thence, 87 degrees, 37 minutes, 13 seconds east along the south line of the southwest quarter of Section 27, a distance of 41.39 feet to a point on the easterly right-of-way line of Arkansas State Highway 59 as established by AHTD Job 9141. Thence north 2 degrees, 53 minutes, 12 seconds east, along said right-of-way to a distance of 1,302.68 feet for the point of beginning. Thence continue north 2 degrees, 53 minutes, 12 seconds east along said right-of-way line A, distance of 16.5 feet to a point on the north line of the southwest corner of the southwest quarter of Section 27. Thence 87 degrees, 35 minutes, and 20 seconds east along said north line, a distance of 42.44 feet to a point on the easterly right-of-way line of Arkansas State Highway 59 as established by AHTD Job 090148. Thence south 2 degrees, 10 minutes, 8 seconds west along said right-of-way, a distance of 16.5 feet to a point. Thence north 87 degrees, 35 minutes, 20 seconds west, a distance of 42.64 feet to the point of beginning and containing 0.02 acres more or less as shown on the plans prepared by the AHTD referenced as Job 090148. Section 2, Annexation and Ward Assignment. That the above described territory shall be annexed to and made part of Ward 3 of the City of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and the same shall be a part of said ward as existing parts of said ward. Section 3, Future Use Land Map. Upon the legally effective date of this ordinance, the future land use map category for the amendment area will be designated as rural residential on the property as above described A-1 in Section 3 of this ordinance and as shown on Attachment 1 as Tract 1 attached hereto. Section 4, Zoning. That the zoning map of the city municipal section code 102-21 is hereby amended to include the territory as described above within the A1 zoning district to the property as described as follows. A part of the west half of the northwest quarter of Section 34, Township 18 North, Range 33 West, Benton County, Arkansas, more particularly described as follows. Beginning at the southeast corner of said west half and running thence north, 87 degrees, 33 minutes, and 40 seconds west, 1,235.88 feet along the south line thereof, to the eastern right-of-way of Arkansas State Highway 59. Thence, the following along said right-of-way. North, 2 degrees, 46 minutes and 53 seconds east, 510.85 feet. North, 7 degrees, 7 minutes, 37 seconds west, 40.61 feet. North, 3 degrees, 56 minutes, 43 seconds east, 150.03 feet. North, 6 degrees, 13 minutes, 59 seconds east, 150.27 feet. North, 2 degrees, 8 minutes, 26 seconds east, 468.77 feet. North, 2 degrees, 49 minutes, 33 seconds east, 1,081.27 feet. North, 5 degrees, 12 minutes, 31 seconds east, 237.88 feet. North, 2 degrees, 23 minutes, 33 seconds east, 5.93 feet, to the intersection with the north line of said west half. Thence, leaving said right-of-way along said north line south, 87 degrees, 36 minutes and 4 seconds, east, 1,231.62 feet, to the northeast corner of said west half, thence south 3 degrees, 2 minutes and 43 seconds west, 1,322.69 feet, along the east line of said west half to the southeast corner of the northwest corner of the northwest quarter of said section 34. Thence continuing along said east line south 2 degrees, 47 minutes, 35 seconds west, 1,322.61 feet to the point of beginning and to include adjoining Arkansas Highway 59 and its right-of-way. Section 5, right-of-way zoning. That the zoning for annexed right-of-way shall conform to the zoning for the adjacent property. In the event the zoning of the adjacent property varies from the one side of the right-of-way to the other, the center line of the right-of-way shall be designed as the division between the zones. Section 6, effective date. 30 days after passage and publication or posting of this ordinance as authorized by law, the annexation shall be final and the property shall, within the corporate limits of the city of Siloam Springs, except as otherwise ordered by the circuit court pursuant to a cause of action filed within said 30-day period. Section 7, notice. Within 45 days of the effective date of this ordinance, the city clerk shall provide written notice along with complete documentation to the county clerk of Benton County. Section 8, penalties. Failure to abide by the conditions aforesaid or any other terms of this ordinance shall be deemed a public offense subject to penalties and equitable relief in accordance with Section 1-7 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code. Section 9, repealer and severability. Prior ordinances in conflict with the provisions enacted herein are repealed to the extent of the conflict as of the effective date of this ordinance. If any provision of a section of this ordinance or the application thereof to any person or circumstance is held invalid, the invalidity does not affect the other provisions or applications of the section or the related sections which can be given effect without the invalid provision or application, and to this end the provisions are severable. Ordained and enacted this day.
Thank you, Christina. Good job reading those meets and bounds. Thank you. With that, I will ask, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 25-30?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Burns.
No.
Wiles.
Yes.
Bristler.
No.
Allen. Carroll.
Yes.
Motion to adopt is approved by a 4-2 vote. So with that, we will move to our next ordinance, which is 25-36, second reading, extension of existing levy of 0.375% sales use tax, or 3/8 cents. Christina?
Could we possibly have a break?
We certainly can. Before we get into that, I will call for a 10-minute break. We're going to call this director's meeting back to order so that we can get out of here before midnight. I thank you all very much for your patience. So with that, We will move to ordinance 25-36, second reading, extension of existing 3/4 cent sales, or 3/8 cent sales tax. And Christina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, we are bringing back to you the extension of the 3/8 cent sales tax. I believe the last discussions centered around a split that was 50% for utilities, 30% for streets, and 20% for quality of life. So I'm not sure if there are any additional questions or for staff, but I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Betsy?
So I was asked about the utility aspect, and I had emailed you about it, like it's for new things. So the concern was from a citizen, so it's only new developments in town. But I assume a lot of this equipment is actually like in an old part of town, if something breaks, it's fixed, that this isn't just.
It's not repairs and replacements, but it is upgrades. So take a water line, for example. If you have a 8-inch water line and that 8-inch water line breaks, but you really need a 12-inch water line, that's an upgrade, right? So it is repairing and replacing some existing infrastructure, but a lot of the 3/8 money is really used for general line extensions, which does have to do with new, but I mean, it just could be a new business that needs a larger transformer here in town. It doesn't necessarily mean it's somewhere outside of the city or where the city has expanded.
Okay, because then her question also, which was the part I'd asked you about, was can it be used for the repairs, the other stuff too?
So the way that it's listed now, it cannot. But that doesn't mean that the language can't be changed to reflect that you would also like it to be used for repairs and replacements. That is an option for the board.
Is that beneficial to change the language, or are those funds already being taken from somewhere and it doesn't matter?
So we do have depreciation funds already, which is a percentage of revenue, and our bond requires that we set that aside for repairs and replacements. It's not a lot of money, though. We're talking about at most $800,000 a year, whereas this is significantly more than that. So is there a benefit? Potentially, but we have used the 3/8 for line extensions and we've used it all.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Brad?
As we go through this process, and whatever the vote is on, at the end of this, and let's say it passes and it goes to the voters, it would be nice to see, I know when we brought annexation to the public, there was just a lot of mixed messaging going on. So it'd be nice, us as a board and as staff, come up with something really simple and clean that, so the voters understand, not a lengthy thing. It's, small paragraph, 3 or 4 sentences, something. So I know you're going to work on that, but that would be nice to see, just something really clean, simple, straightforward.
So is the direction to make it available? Because it can say utility infrastructure. It doesn't have to say new infrastructure, and it doesn't have to say repairs and replacements. It could just be utility infrastructure.
Yes, Lisa.
When we do utility infrastructure, and we're talking like wastewater, the system that we have to do, is it not better to do a bond issue?
For our wastewater issue, we are going to need to do a separate bond issue, yes.
So can you give examples of if we did that, what would this include if we did? Because I'm thinking our major projects that we probably would have to do a bond.
So typically, like I said, we have used all of this money for general line extensions or things like new traffic lights, things like that. It doesn't have to be again, something that is based on annexation or growth. It's just something that doesn't already exist. It could be, we need a new truck because now we have 26 electricians instead of 24. I mean, it's anything that is simply not already existing in the system, the way it's written currently.
But if we added, is what I'm saying, if we added,
If you added it, it would just be for any construction that needed to be done.
and do we have any projects on the list that need to be done that we could use the money for?
Not that is not already accounted for in our 5-year plan, but the bulk of that for electric is line extensions.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
Our board packet does not have the amendment we made at the last meeting. Did we not amend this on the percentages?
Yes, we did. We added that amendment.
It's not, it's still listed as
This is
80/20.
Okay.
And I thought that we said it had to go back to the first reading with that change.
Yeah, we did make that amendment. Yep, we did. We made a separate vote for that amendment, and then,
Well, I have a problem
Yes,
with
sir.
quality of life. I said it at the last meeting. I still have a problem with quality of life. I've had people call me, tell me that this was passed by the people 10 years ago. It was somewhat of an experiment because it had never been done before. And there's money sitting there unused, that the only people who used it was the city administrator as a slush fund for things that were not budgeted. And the board members who supported this, I would have thought would have brought these projects, or he would have brought them to the board and pushed them through. There's still $5 million sitting there after 10 years, unused. And I said at the beginning of the last meeting on this issue that I cannot support quality of life, and I'm going to once again say I do not support quality of life. I'm going to make a motion to amend it to 50/50, 50 for utility equipment, 50 for streets, none for quality of life. We still have $5 million in the quality of life fund that can be used in the future. But I do not believe that it is specific enough for the public to get behind, and that it could very well be an anchor on this thing going down the drain next year. It could go down the drain anyway because it's an off year on an election. So for an issue, bond or voting issue.
so you are making a motion to amend the split from 50-30-20 to 50-50, 50 utilities, 50 street. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I have a second for that
before we
motion?
have a second, I would like discussion before, can we have?
I think we need to have our second first and then our discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, second.
So we have a motion and a second, discussion
Okay.
for the amendment.
So I think we discussed last time about the quality of life, where everybody stood. My issue is, we put on the ballot that we were going to do sidewalks. We were going to do all these other projects, these specific things. And we haven't done any sidewalks. As a matter of fact, we put sidewalks in the street budget. And then this year for the street budget, I noticed that there's no sidewalks. None. Was we not going to repair any sidewalks this year? I mean, we have a 40,000 or a 50,000 in the streets, which will not go very far. And we had 300,000 last year.
Right.
Why are we eliminating?
It's less about eliminating. The city engineer has been the one in the past who has added those in for the street budget, and we did not have a city engineer at the time when we started doing this budget.
So when we put it on the ballot for the citizens voted this in with the idea that we would be taking care of our sidewalks. So I think I said it at the budget meeting, and I want to say it again. I think we need to relook at 2025 and take that 300,000 out of the payback streets, so we can get more streets done, and use the quality of life fund that has $5 million sitting in it. And I understand that the past city administrators prevented staff from using the money. That's been made very clear. But now directors need to take a stand and say, okay, this money has been sitting here. We have needs. We keep focusing on wants. We have needs in our community. And one of our needs is our sidewalks. Some of them do not meet ADA compliance. Some of them are unsafe. Even if you're not disabled, they're still unsafe. We have areas that need sidewalks for our children to walk to school. And we have $5 million sitting there, and the citizens voted that we were going to use that money for sidewalks, and we have not. We've failed the citizens when we failed to do that. So I do want to somehow put it on the agenda that we pay back the $300,000. I would like us to see that we put sidewalks, use the quality of life funding, make sure we have some projects that we're going to do this year. And that's been my area of why I'm not for the quality of life, because it hasn't been spent as we told the taxpayers it would be spent.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Dave?
Lisa, are you saying sidewalks was listed as a quality of life on the ballot?
On the ballot.
On the ballot?
Mm-hmm.
My point about sidewalks is that traditionally they have been part of street budget, street department, and the streets themselves have been the most argued, talked about, debated issue from the voters for at least the last 4 to 5 years. And for someone who's gone through 2 races in the last 5 years, I can attest that that is the biggest argument, gripe that people say is, why are we not getting more streets fixed instead of just potholes? It's actually overlay or completely redone, and not like Lake Francis or Kenwood, but doing them when we know they are thoroughfares that get driven by a lot of people instead of these streets in Ravenwood that are residential dead ends. We need a plan that affects the most citizens with the best economy of money. And I don't believe any amount of money going to quality of life is going to help sell this tax when we need more money going to streets.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Betsy?
So I need some clarification. Lisa had mentioned like 40 or 50,000. Is that all we have budgeted for sidewalks for next year, or is it built into streets somewhere else, or is that it?
That is the amount that is put into the budget for or for sidewalk repairs.
Repairs, okay.
Yeah.
Is there like, how about new sidewalks?
I will have to get with the new city engineer and see if they can locate the sidewalk master plan, and we can pull something into the budget for that.
Okay, so it's in the street, that part's in the street budget. So you can find out on that. So the 300,000 that was budgeted last year, is that correct? How much of that has been used?
I believe it's close to 146,000. I'm not sure exactly what the project was, but I will find out.
Okay, so it's not, it's maybe half of what was budgeted. Okay. Yeah, if you could get that, that would be wonderful. Thank you. And I have mixed emotions about quality of life, because I can see Sager Creek and sidewalks and all kinds of things. I did, a citizen who's connected and talks to a lot of people who vote said that they would not encourage anybody to vote for this if quality of life was a part of it, which that concerns me. And they also are one of the people who was concerned about the parks and things for littles, since a lot of the stuff we have is for adults. So I'm not quite sure. I know streets is a huge complaint, and we do have quite a bit in quality of life at the moment. So 50-50 might be a better way to go if we want to get it passed. Because I got some negative feedback after the last, I mean, that's obviously not the whole population, but it was enough it concerned me.
Mayor?
Yes, David?
The quality of life allocation 10 years ago was sold to the public. As Lisa said, there were specific things put on the ballot, but it didn't actually get allocated like that. A lot of the mentality, at least with staff, was parks, downtown, creek. When you look at the list of what was spent from this fund by the two previous administrators before Christina, it was pet project, updating the Frisbee golf at City Lake, because that's quality of life to somebody. But it's not what people expected their sales tax to go to. And as I said last meeting, the update of the old post office was promised and never even came up. Refused to even consider that money for any of that. And that would have been quality of life. That's what was explained to me, is that one of the things of quality of life was such as the museum. It wasn't just downtown and other things. It included like the museum, but nope. Instead, we threatened to shut them down. So it's been a situation that, in my opinion, was a failed allocation to an issue and didn't work. And I don't believe we should continue down a road that has been a failure. Most especially when Lisa said we have a lot of needs, and updating our utility equipment and updating our streets is by far the most necessary needs. City government is supposed to take care of the needs, the things that people cannot do themselves to live their life, the necessities of life: sewer, water, electric, streets, any government, but also the safety, as we know, police and fire. But we don't need to be continuing to have tax money, even though everybody says, well, this is the safest tax, the greatest tax, because everybody pays for it when they travel through town. That's fine. That's great. That's fine. I agree completely. But it becomes the citizens' money. And putting it back into a quality of life fund that is so subjective to every person as to what quality of life is. You ask 100 people, they're going to give you 100 answers as what quality of life actually means, whereas everybody knows what streets updated mean. And so I just think we're really shooting ourselves in the foot if we continue to go down the quality of life road.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just to throw another wrench in and to go backwards, so I apologize. I mean, initially, staff recommended 80% utility, 20% quality of life. That says to me, staff thinks we need it for infrastructure, for utilities. So they know the finances better. So then a part of me, again, not to throw another monkey wrench, thinks it should be more utilities than streets even. Yeah, for what that's worth, but I think we're just getting things more confused as to.
Yes, Brad.
So I'll jump on the bandwagon because I was on the board when we did this. So quality of life at that time was place-based amenities, and place-based amenities are economical drivers. So that was our factor on that. And during that time, since then, I've done the research. We had the plans in place. I got off the board. I cannot explain to you why the plans did not continue. We went through a city administrator. We went through another one. So there's been a little bit of distraction. But my research that we did at the Sager Creek Advisory Committee, which I wanted Director Rissler on because I'm totally into Sager Creek, and she wanted me on the board on that committee. So I got on that committee. And in that research, and I'll be happy to give this to you guys, I've got a 2009 Sager Creek Wall Restoration Action Plan. So Director Allen was the mayor, John Turner, the Honorable James Fuller, Danny Watson, Judy Nations, Ken Wiles, Carol Smiley, and Mark Long were all on the board when this plan was approved. The problem in 2009, I was a city employee, there was no funding mechanism. And so like any large projects, it takes time. And city time tests my patience sometimes. You know, you want it yesterday. It doesn't happen that way. And so what I always viewed quality of life was that we created a revenue source so that we continue to fulfill those action plans that had no funding mechanism whatsoever. And that's the intent behind it, create that additional revenue. I shared with Christina, I probably shared with you guys, I won't bore you with a couple of pages of notes on tourism, but Benton County is the largest producer of tourism in Northwest Arkansas. And man, if we could get like, 0.1% of those billions of dollars, it would be a beautiful thing. And the other deal with Sager Creek was, I was Ward 2, and there was some resentment on, Ward 2 at that time because Ward 2 was very large before we broke it up after the census. And there was a lot of activity happening in Ward 2, people agreed and disagreed upon. I totally take that responsibility. I took all the negative flack, not a problem. So coming back at a position, at large position, I'm just trying to get us back on track to spend that $5 million as it was originally intended to, going all the way back to 2009, right? So don't get me wrong. Increase, if we can, I was very excited at the last board meeting that, we had a 50-30-20 thing going on. I'm not disappointed because I have no expectation of things. So this change doesn't surprise me at all. But that 20%, losing that $3 million, as we look forward to ADA compliant swing sets, about probably 60 to 75 grand now, because replacement back then was 56. The governor's request to be a healthier state after COVID, people wanted to be outside more, so your health and mental wellness was outdoor activities. We shot down a connectivity plan, we didn't stay with it. I support Director Blair when we did the sidewalks to nowhere. I agree, totally makes sense. But in doing that, we also terminated some other projects. And a lot of negative feedback on side paths. We had a side path project, and we've gone through a couple engineers, but it was extending HICO all the way out through the Butterfield Trail using grants that were accessible to stretch that to connect City Lake. There's a connectivity plan to connect the kayak park to Wocom 59. They're gonna do it on the Lincoln Bridge, right? They're putting a side path on that. So it's a connectivity path out to Country Acres. They're gonna be talking about over the Jones Center, which our new engineer will be at. Hopefully he stays with us long enough to see some of these projects through fruition. But, if we look 10 years down the road, transportation is gonna take a different seat. And some people do ride their bikes to work, and some people walk on a regular basis. I am one of those. And I happen to live in an area of town that's kind of a hub. I'm not isolated. I see people going to work every day. I see Christina go to work most mornings. She sees me holding an old dog, and sometimes I wave, and sometimes I don't, because I've been there 20 years, so I'm kind of immune to what's happening. But there's been a lot of positive, and there has been some lost promises. I mean, you can't deny that. There's been some failures. Having said that, you know, it's the last suggestion was fantastic. Obviously, you know, I don't support that, but I encourage us in 2026 to get back on that and spend that money as respectfully as those that served on the board before, you know, I came on here. And that's really was the intent of quality of life. And you know, I just hope, I'd like to see us get back to that. Thank you.
Yes, Reed.
Christina, I know we've kind of said a few things about sidewalks, but I do want you to know that I appreciate what has happened on Washington Street between 412 and Jefferson. And I appreciate the work that has been done on Progress from 412 to Sherry Whitlock. And there has been work done on sidewalks and it has been noticed. Thank you.
Thank you, Reed.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, so Lisa, and then I'll come back to you, David.
Please don't think I was saying that you guys didn't work. I'm saying the budget needs to reflect what the voters voted. And so that's what I was saying. I wasn't saying you are not doing a good job, because you are. As far as the sidewalks to nowhere, that could be offset by taking it out of the quality of life. And I agree with Director Burns. Sager Creek needs to be a focus with that $5 million. We have it sitting there, and I think we've said this in past meetings, we need to look at Sager Creek. The $5 million's there. I've said it in budget meetings, I've said it over and over. We tell the citizens, we talk, but we see no action. We are not moving forward. When we talk about these things and we present them to the citizens, we need to take action. Our words mean nothing if we do nothing. If we're just gonna talk about it and not do what we say we're gonna do, then they're meaningless. We're sitting up here and turning our wheels for nothing. We're wasting people's time. And so our history has proven we are not staying on track. Streets, we need. We have a street master plan that has been said time and time again that we are behind on our streets. We neglected our streets for far too long, and it's time that we get focused back on our streets. Some of them aren't even safe, I don't feel. When you have a fire truck, that the ground, the street collapses under it and causes the fire truck to go on its side, that's a problem. And that street has not been repaired. Why? Because I haven't pushed it, because it's my street. I would rather every other citizen's street be taken care of besides mine, but that did happen. The street collapsed and the fire truck fell on its side. Now, how much did that cost the citizens to replace that fire truck? And so we need to look at our streets. We need to stay focused on our streets and our utilities. We're asking citizens to do a utility increase, and then we're going to ask them to vote on a tax. Whatever we ask them to vote on, we need it to pass. We need it to meet budget. And so that's my concern. We have not been consistent with the quality of life, but we have a reason to be consistent with utilities. We have a reason to be consistent with streets, and even moving some of the money from sidewalks over, if we did do it, to move it to quality of life. Some streets could be done, but even more streets could be done if we put this.
David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a concentrated discussion here on sidewalks, and I completely appreciate everybody's input. Reed, you're absolutely right. What was done in Washington and some of the other streets recently has been phenomenal. It's been needed. They're not side paths, they're sidewalks. And we got off on a side path tangent for quite some time. And I remember asking, Don Clark stood right there, why are we doing 10-foot wide side paths? Well, there's bigger chance of getting state funds if it's a side path instead of a sidewalk. One of the first things we did when I got back on this board was vote to pay $750,000 for a side path down Hyco Street from Simmons headquarters all the way up to Sherry Whitlock. 3 or 4 years before that day, it would have cost $150,000. And the reason we didn't go ahead and do it right then and there, because Don Clark was applying for a grant. And he was waiting to hear from that grant. So in the 3 years of waiting to hear from a grant, the cost of this thing went up 4 times. So I say side paths are fine and dandy, but why do we need a side path from the Simmons plant up Hyco and all the way out to City Park, to City Lake? Why do we need a side path down Carl that would have taken out trees that had been there for a long time, down Carl Street in front of the old post office and all the way out to the kayak park? When I first heard that before I was running on the board, I had people complaining, and that was the plan. And I could think, are we planning to have people bicycle with their kayak on their back or pulling their kayak on a trailer? I just can't fathom what the plan was to have a 10-foot wide side path that was going to go out the kayak park. There's nobody I know that was going to bicycle to haul their kayak out to the kayak park. Luckily, some cooler heads got elected and killed some of these crazy things, but it still sticks in my craw that waiting for a grant made the citizens pay $600,000 more for a quarter-mile side path that was 10 feet wide. So we need to be realistic, put sidewalks where they're needed, replace the ones that are crumbling, get them ADA compliant, and by golly, most of all, start repairing our streets. We got off on a huge tangent of bicycle. We got to get every street in this city to where bicyclists can ride their bike to work. We had all this connectivity nonsense, really, I call it, because all these things got put in the street that were tripping people up and making people's tires get blown, and it was just, thank goodness, we finally got rid of this stuff. We were listening to too many people from Bentonville talk about what we needed to be, and then we set up this mountain bike trail out at City Lake. But there's not this massive bicycling group in Siloam that demands we have bicycling all over town. The streets are used by everybody, and we need to allocate more money. Philip Patterson said right here and said, I guess we've not put as much money into streets as we should have. And it was because he had reallocated the city tax away from streets. We live and learn, folks. We live and learn. And only after we see the results do we say, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And 10 years after this quality of life being a failure, we need to admit we've got to move on to do some more practical things of what people actually need to make their lives better.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
And like I said, I have mixed emotions about it because with quality of life, had a citizen say, or more than one, it's not specific enough, it's too broad, it's not accountable, or the funds aren't accountable to something specific. But then I also think, I mean, I like the points Brad made and Sager Creek and all of that. So let's pretend that we don't do any towards quality of life. Where would the funds come from for Sager Creek and the things right now that when we're having these discussions, we call quality of life? Where would that money come from in the future if this was not allocated, if nothing was allocated to quality of life?
That would have to come out of general fund reserves.
We've still got $5 million in a quality of life fund.
No, I know, but I'm just saying the way all the things we are talking about wasn't done, these days, $5 million can go pretty quickly. So once that's gone, yeah, where, I'm just trying to see the whole picture. Where would?
It would come out of general funds, either out of the money that we've accumulated for general funds or out of that year's operating budget. But that would be the only place. Right now, our operating budget definitely wouldn't hold that, right? But hopefully in the future it will.
So the way the budget is right, the funds are right now, except if we're excluding the 5 million that we've got in quality of life, we're pretending like that doesn't exist. We don't have money anywhere for Sager Creek or these other things we're talking about.
Correct.
Okay. So if we were to move forward with a small part of it going towards quality of life, I think we would need to make it specific. This is what it's used for. I think it's too broad for at least some of the citizens to be okay with, but I don't know what that would look like.
It depends on what projects you think you want to fund from that money.
Right, yeah. And this sales tax, am I correct? It's a 10-year, is that right? Okay. So, okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Do you have some other input that has to do with the amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Brad.
So we talked about this at the last board meeting about a balance of life, right? So what is that balance of life? The deal with quality of life is it provides free things. We're using the taxpayer dollars to provide free things. I have no doubt this current board in 26, we're going to follow through with the rest of the master plan, which in 2009 were $100,000 projects. So you know what they are today. I have no doubt we're going to come together to do that. What I clearly stated earlier is that when you go to present this to the public is that you need to be very clear and simple with your language. And that's where you get the buy-in for the quality of life. And it's defined, it's purpose-driven, and you stay to those plans. And it's really that simple. If you choose not to do that and you go the other direction, we're going to spend the $5 million wisely while I'm on this board. I feel real positive about that, and I feel like there's good buy-in from the board. I have no doubt about that. And your question is 100% correct, Director Blair. What do we do after that? So we get a Parks Master Plan, they bring it to us, and then you're gonna, in the next budget cycle in 27, you know, we go 50-50, we do whatever, but then, you know, you're gonna have to come up with that additional, and you know, that's the struggle, right?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
In regards to making it clear and designated it for the public, that was already done. It was done 10 years ago. Lisa said, we've seen the ballot. The ballot listed specific things that this money would be used for. Didn't matter. Did not happen. And I will argue that even if we do put clear stated objectives for the quality of life fund in this tax ballot issue this year or coming up next year, you have a different set of board members come on that can completely change what that money is going to be used for. Because, and I saw it, I'm telling you, I saw it the year after I left mayor in 2012. There was almost a whole turnover of board members. There was 5 out of 7. So what's quality of life to this group may not be quality of life to the board members that come in 4 years. So that's why I say you can have it on the ballot, you can designate it, you could say this is what it's going to be. We've already proven it did not happen before. It was projects the administrator wanted that was, quote, not in the budget, but it was under their spending limit. So they could spend it how they wanted and not bring it to this board. So it was money that never got reported to the board unless you asked for a list of money spent out of the Quality of Life Fund, which the board in the past never did do. So do we want to repeat that same mistake? I think going to actual physical things, streets and equipment, is going to be much more tangible to the ideology and understanding of the general public. Quality of life is just, it's too out there. And how do we measure it?
Yes, Lisa.
And we could also look at grants, look at more grant opportunities, especially for ADA. I mean, there's opportunity out there to get money.
Well, we had in the past spent these kind of quality of life things out of the general fund. The Family Aquatic Center was $1 million out of the general fund. This building was built out of the general fund for $1 million. So as projects come up, that's what general fund is for. We can have the board vote to spend that money, instead of money being spent behind the board's back.
So I just have a question based on what Lisa just said about grants. Whenever Travis was making his presentation and talking about the budget, did I understand him to say that matching the grants that we've applied for, that there's a matching funds for those, and that is allocated out of the 3/8 cents? That is a part of how the budget was calculated? Yes or no? Did I misunderstand?
No, that is correct. Our match for the Sacred Creek restoration is coming out of quality of life.
So it will come out of that $5 million?
Yes.
And how much, I'm sorry, how much again was that grant?
Total of up, they believe it's going to cost $1.2 million, but they're paying 666,000, basically a third of $1,000,000.
Just for that one?
Just for that one.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I had heard that right and that we.
But Mayor, there was another one that was not a matching, that was just Walton Family
Just Walton
Foundation.
Family, yes.
But it also had to do with Sacred Creek.
Yes, that was
It was the one that was that weird number that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that I understood and that everyone understood that if we don't have anything for quality of life going forward, that's not going to affect what we're looking at now, because it's already in the budget out of that $5 million.
For the Sacred Creek restoration, yes.
Yeah.
533 on the 3/8 cent sales tax.
And not all grant matches come out of the 3/8 cents, right? For part.
This year, yes.
This year, for the first year.
But, pardon?
But previously, it hasn't?
No.
Okay. It's come out of general fund.
Can the general fund support that?
Not currently.
And Madam Mayor, and I guess that's part of my concern. Our general fund is challenged right now. We'll put it that way. So in a way, I know and I get that we haven't spent this money and it's just sat there, But in a way, it's also a gift because now we have it and we can get these things done and we have the money to match the grants. We have the money to do these things. Whereas if this money hadn't unfortunately been sitting there this whole time, the general fund wouldn't be able to match any of those grants. And that concerns me because, like I said, $5 million goes quickly. I'm really struggling on this. I guess I personally don't really want to vote on a change tonight because I haven't had time to process it. Because I do like the idea of having a place to draw from since the general fund cannot support these things right now. And I don't know, and unless we get more income as a city, things change. It seems like it's going to take a while before the general fund can do the matching and can do the Sager Creek and can, the parks, the all of that stuff. So I don't know. I personally am not ready to vote on a change, but I know it's not just my decision. I need more time to process it.
Well,
I mean, y'all can
no,
Take it in the
we,
motion order that the motions are.
right. So right now, we have a motion to amend, and we have to address that motion. Yes. So I have a motion and a second to amend Ordinance 25-36 to a 50% utility, 50% street split.
Can I ask a real quick question? If there's enough board members to want to table the entire issue, I will pull my amendment.
Okay.
But I don't, I'm just saying based upon Betsy saying she doesn't have enough info, I'm willing, plus we have one board member missing. I hate to make any kind of serious decisions with not a full board.
And we can do that, right? I mean,
Well, I don't know that there's any procedure to poll the board members informally about how they're going to vote. So
Well, it's not to
I think
vote,
we
it's
either have to,
tabling.
I think he either has to withdraw his motion and then someone can move to table, or we
table.
have to vote on this motion.
that's kind of what I thought. So you're withdrawing your
withdraw my
second,
second.
and you're withdrawing your motion to table.
Well, I said I would
sorry, to
if there was
amend.
enough input to table. We're not voting to table, we're simply saying Betsy offered it. If anyone else wanted to table, I'll pull my motion. But
I'll pull my second.
I would agree to table.
Okay, so.
what'd you say, Lisa?
Then
Madam
we
Mayor,
I pulled my second.
can.
my question would be, and I know this is just the second reading, but what does this do time-wise? If we table today,
You will have to make
have
sure
to
that,
do it all the next time.
correct.
That's right. Janae just gave me a note here that says we only have until December 22nd to pass the ordinance. So that means next meeting, you'll have to do whatever you're going to do. And if you make, let me ask you this, if they make an amendment to change the split at the next meeting, can they do all three? They can't, can they?
Yeah, you can.
I researched that, and
Okay.
I didn't find anything that says you can't waive the readings on the tax ordinance. So I think you can do that.
So if they amend, then they can still do the three readings.
You can
Perfect.
vote, you can waive and
Okay.
have all three readings on one night.
Perfect.
Madam Mayor.
Yes,
And
Lisa.
can I suggest even having a special called meeting? Because it's an in-depth conversation. This isn't a quick decision. We're wanting to race it in on the agenda at board meeting nights. Can we not have a special session?
We could do it just before one of our budget meetings.
I was going to say,
We
you've
have our
got,
budget meeting, so could we do it Thursday with our budget meeting then?
can we not schedule it to do that?
As long as you've got time to give 48 hours notice.
Okay.
Will
Yes,
Mindy
you
be
can.
back? Will Mindy be here? Do you know?
Mindy be here?
I'm not sure, she was feeling under the weather.
When is our next budget meeting after Thursday?
It's this,
Oh,
Pardon?
it's the next Tuesday, is it not?
Do we have one
Yeah.
next week?
Yeah, on Tuesday.
So we could put it before that, the special
That would give
meeting.
us plenty of time for notice. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, we could do that. So what is that date, real quick?
December 16th.
December 16th. Okay, so we can table it.
Well, no,
That
the
is-
next
that
budget
is-
meeting is 7 days from today, right?
Next budget meeting is on Thursday.
Yeah, but I mean, after that one, on the
After that
next,
one.
the next
We
week,
could
on Tuesday.
No, I'm saying the next one next week. The next budget meeting next week.
The 9th.
It'd be the 9th.
Ninth,
I
yes.
thought I heard
December 9th.
Tuesday of next week.
Yeah, that would be December 9th.
That is the planning commission meeting. That night is the planning commission meeting. That is why there was not a that was why there's not a workshop scheduled for next week, but we could add one in, just maybe not Tuesday. Or we would need to wait until after the planning commission.
Okay, so we have a budget meeting this Thursday, the 4th.
Correct.
Okay. Then the next week, you're saying that the 9th is the P and Z meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Do we have anything scheduled for the 11th at this time, which would be Thursday?
Not that I'm
Yes?
Things.
Okay, so you could not be here
I will not be here on the
What about
11th.
Monday, the 8th?
Monday, the 8th? Can you be here then? No, are you gonna all,
Or can we move the planning commission meeting up a little bit on Tuesday?
that's Chris? That's your call.
Madam Mayor, the Planning Commission has items that require public notice. Whenever we have a public notice that is in place, we can move it to a later time, but not an earlier time.
Okay, so you normally meet at 5:30 now, is that correct?
That is correct, and the
Okay.
chair of the Planning Commission is present.
Mr. Chair.
How much in advance do you have to have? You can't move them earlier in the day? 7 days?
That is correct, because some of our public notification requirements have a 15 to 30-day notice requirement. Some of those are required by state law. We can move those to a later time because I can put a notice on the door that meeting is being moved to a later time, but I can't put that notice on the door earlier because if we see an item that met before the allowed time, then someone may miss that item.
Madam Mayor, did we talk
Yes.
about having it on the first day of Hanukkah? Which would be the
I don't believe
15th?
we've talked about that one yet.
Kwanzaa. Let's look at Kwanzaa.
All right, so are you gone all week of the 15th, the week of the 15th? Reed?
I have meetings, but I'll just cancel those. We need to get this done.
Okay, so how about Monday, the 15th?
15th?
That's a Monday.
I think I can do it.
Okay,
What time?
Get a little punch.
what time we want to start? 6, 5:30? Up to you.
30's fine.
5:30 on the 15th. Everyone get that?
That is the first day of Hanukkah, so Brad was
Well, there you
right.
go. See? Good job, Brad. 5:30, the 15th. This will be a workshop to discuss the 3/8 cent sales tax and the split. Okay, all right.
So not an actual meeting, just,
Oh, it's a special called meeting.
Special call, the discussion, I'm sorry. It's also the Bill of Rights Day. Let's not forget that.
So now I need a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion
I
and a second.
withdraw my amendment and make the motion to
Yes,
table.
she did. Lisa withdrew her second. So now I have a motion from you, from David, and a second from Lisa to table until the meeting on December the 15th, the discussion. Okay, roll call.
This is only to discuss
That's
this
right.
issue,
All
the
we're going to
3/8
discuss is
cents
the
allocation.
split for the
Okay.
3/8 cents. That's correct. Roll call.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
yes.
Motion is approved, so we will have a special call meeting December the 15th at 5:30 to discuss the split for the 3/8 cent sales tax. Okay, directors, thank you for that. We'll move on. Ordinance 25-37, third reading, amending section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from A1 to C2, 3,800 and 3,900 blocks of East Highway 412. Kyle?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, directors. So this is the third reading for this item. You can see here on the general area map where the property is located. It's a total of 6.02 acres on East Highway 412. Directly to the west are the McDonald's, Olive Garden, and Chili's that just came in and came live. They are proposing to go from A1 to C2, and it's approximately 6.2 acres total on 3 tracts of land. And there is no future land use map that's needed because it's already designated as regional commercial. Staff is available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, sir. Directors, comments or questions? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 25-37? There is not. Do I have a motion to place ordinance 25-37 on its third reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Wiles.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 25-37, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, City Zoning Map, rezoning from A1 to C2, property located at 3,800 and 3,900 blocks of East Highway 412.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 25-37?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt. Roll call.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Ordinance 25-37 is adopted. Next is ordinance 24-38, first and only reading, waiving competitive bidding for the Health Insurance Network and Administration, Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Misty?
It's that time of year again. Good afternoon, or good evening. Geez, it's been a long night or day. Good evening, Board and Madam Mayor. It is time for the health insurance, the self-funded Blue Cross Blue Shield. In the past, we've tried other insurance companies, and they just did not hold up to expectations for the employees. It was a mess. We decided to go self-insured. Was it 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. It's went really well. Employees love Blue Cross Blue Shield. The complaint level is almost none. So we are just, staff is recommending that we continue with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I am here for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Directors, comments or questions?
Madam Mayor, I make
Yes,
a
David.
motion, we approve ordinance 2438 on its first and only reading, suspending the rules and reading title only.
Before I take a second, I'm going to have to ask if there's any comments or from the floor, from the audience. Is there anyone that would like to address this ordinance? There is not. Thank you. So, David, you have a motion to place this on its first and third reading, first and only reading, I'm sorry. And we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Christina?
Ordinance number 24-38, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Blue Cross and Blue Shield and the city, waiving the requirement of competitive bidding.
Thank you, ma'am. And before I ask for a motion to adopt, I want to make sure that the motion and the second agrees that was suspending the rules and reading by title only. Yes, okay. So we are legal. Motion to adopt ordinance 24-38.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Roll call.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair. Yes. Barnes.
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Ordinance 24-38 is adopted. Next is ordinance 25-39, second reading, amending municipal code sections 82-41, 98-62, 98-173, and 98-331, adjusting scheduled annual utility rate increases for years 2026 through 2030. Christina?
Mayor, members of the board, again, this is the proposal based on the rate study that was completed. It basically is a 4% increase for electric, water, and wastewater. Although the electric would not occur, their first increase would be 2027. And then for the remaining, it would be annually thereafter. And it also includes an increase for sanitation, a rather large increase in the first year, followed by 5.5% increases thereafter through 2030. And the way the ordinance was written, it was basically to remove all of the dollar values that we amend every single time and use the rate study as the exhibit.
Very good.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David?
This says second reading, but I cannot find in any of our previous agendas that we read this for a first
I
reading.
believe this is actually the first reading.
It says second reading.
It does. So we will amend that to first reading. So that is what you are
Had me in a
considering.
quandary looking all up.
Yeah.
What, did I vote on this before? I don't remember.
Obviously, you did not. So, so now, comments or questions? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 25-39? There is not. So do I have a motion to place ordinance 25-39 on its first reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 25-39, an ordinance amending portions of Chapter 82, Solid Waste, and Chapter 98, Utilities, adjusting scheduled utility rate increases for the years 2026 through 2030 and for other purposes.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is ordinance 25-40, first reading, amending section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from R2 to R3, 705 North College Street. Kyle?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, directors. So this is located at 705 North College Street, just a little bit north of Franklin Street as well. The applicant is requesting to rezone this from R2 residential medium to R3 residential two-family. It's approximately 0.31 acres, and a future land use map amendment is not needed for this request, as it's already designated neighborhoods 2, which means that this request is very appropriate. Staff received a request for information and provided information concerning the rezone. However, we've received no other calls or correspondence, and we're available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, sir. Directors, comments or questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad?
I'm just happy to see some infill. Makes it simple. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? There is not. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 25-40? Yes, ma'am. If you'll come to the podium and give us your name and your address, please. And
My
you
name
will-
is Jill Arrett. I live at 1054 North Main Street in Bentonville.
All right.
I would just like to request that we combine multiple readings with tonight's request.
Okay. I mean, they'll take that into consideration whenever they're getting ready to make their motion.
Okay.
And is there a reason that you are wanting it all three readings tonight? Because normally they don't do them all three, so I'm sure they would like to know why you're requesting that.
I think it would just save time on the board's part and our part, we'd like to go ahead and start construction, and I would just ask that we could combine those readings if possible.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Directors? Comments or questions on that? If not,
In the past, Madam
Yes.
Mayor, we do not do that unless there's
Yes.
an actual hardship or some issue that is weighing on the need. But in the past, we have not, we've set precedents many, many times by not doing that.
that is correct. So, is there anyone else on the audience that would like to speak to this ordinance? Okay, there is not. So because it has been requested, I am going to ask if I have a motion to place this on its first, second, and third reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only. So I do not have a motion for that. Do I have a motion to place ordinance 24-40 on its first reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Burns,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 25-40, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, City Zoning Map, rezoning from R2 to R3, property located at 705 North College Street.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I will just point out that state law actually requires every ordinance be read at 3 separate meetings. That's the way it's read, so we have to follow state law, yeah.
There are exceptions to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no, we could do it, but
yeah.
I'm just saying
But yes,
that's
that
where
is
it
what-
comes from,
Yes.
is the 3 readings came from the state law that says 3 separate. Yeah, we've combined some, but,
That is correct.
Yeah.
It is part of the state law.
yeah.
So with that, we'll move to ordinance 25-41, first reading, amending section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from R2 to C1A, 600 block of South Holly Street. Kyla, you've got the floor again.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor, Directors. So this is located at the southeast corner of Granite Street and Holly Street. Right now, it is a vacant lot, so we're calling it the 600 block of South Holly Street. They're proposing to rezone from R2 residential medium to C1A commercial light. The parcel itself consists of approximately 0.5 acres, and a future land use map amendment, again, is not needed for this particular request as it lies in the mixed-use center, and the request is considered very appropriate. In terms of our findings, you can see from the aerial, on the western side of South Holly, there are some light commercial applications. On the east side, we have a general institutional zoning with a school. And it creates potentially the opportunity for a nice buffer going back into these residential areas. We did receive one request for information and provided the information concerning the rezone, but we haven't received any other calls or correspondence on it, and we're available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, sir. Directors, comments or questions?
Madam
Yes,
Madam
Betsy.
Mayor, so, Chris, we discussed this, and I know Kyle and, or maybe Ben and Brent were called. This is connected to the resolution, and there was a mistake, but it looks like when I look at online the agenda, it doesn't look any different to me.
I think that may have came through as an addendum. I believe I sent that to the, I sent that forward to the city administrator. I don't know if that addendum made it to the final packet. That is, it did make it to the final packet.
I replaced it with what you sent.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Replaced it with what you sent.
Okay, The one that was final, I don't have that in front of me, but it should have had 2 sections in it, and it replaced, the Scribner's error had called this out as being for the special use portion of it. Because this is the ordinance for the rezoning. The special use resolution rezone that's going to be heard later for the Zamora property had a Scribner's error on the resolution. So that was calling out a special use permit to that would be required to allow alcohol usage to this location.
Right.
That was the Scribner's error. They weren't requesting alcohol sales at that location. This, however, is the rezoning. The special use still exists in that, but you still have to obtain a special use permit, which would be a separate item from a resolution.
As when we were talking about it before, and we talked about, what's required to say yes or what you have options for, since it was tied to this one, I just wanted to make sure.
That's correct. And
that-
it still exists in the zoning, but it as a special use permit, which the special use permit is being heard later as a separate item. And that's where the Scribner's error existed. So that's the one that was corrected. And I apologize for not being.
Oh, no,
right on top of it.
that's okay. I just, like I said, we had talked about how they were tied. If I voted one
That's
way
correct.
on one, then I had to on the other, so.
Each
Yes.
zoning has allowed uses by right and allowed uses through a special use permit. What they're going to recommend is not allowed by right, so they have to get a special use permit, and that's where the Scribner's error existed, was that resolution.
Thank you for explaining that. And it may have been, I had my agenda pulled up and I didn't refresh it, so sorry about that. It probably is, the addendum probably is on there, so I apologize.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
Chris, do we know what is planned to be built here?
I would have to defer to Kyle to see if he's received anything for the rezoning and the special use permit. I don't believe we had an initial plan that was provided. The applicant is present and would probably be able to answer additional questions. But the special use permit was also conditioned to allow or to require certain type of use. And I would deflect to Kyle for additional information.
Director Allen, that is correct. We did not receive a site plan or anything. The applicant is present. If you would like to see if they have any insight as to what's being planned there. And we do plan on addressing this further during the resolution that's being presented for the special use permit application.
Well, I noticed the special use permit resolution for that says multifamily. So I can't understand why there was a discussion of alcohol sales.
It was due to the Scribner's error on an ordinance.
So there was never a plan to have, I mean, is this part multifamily and part restaurant, or what? I'm confused. What?
The request is for a mixed-use development on the next item. I would defer to Chris as far as whether or not we should be addressing that on the rezone.
I understand. I think it's appropriate to rezone because of what's north and south of it. I mean, you've got Ozark Guidance, you've got a dental office, you've got a car wash, at least it used to be a car wash. You've got several commercial properties there. So I'm glad the property's finally going to get used. I just am curious what it is planned to be used for.
So if we can talk about maybe that whenever we're talking about the special use permit, perhaps we could get more information.
Madam Mayor, I
there.
think that would be appropriate because the
Yes.
special use permit can have conditions tied to it. However, a zoning cannot.
Right. So if there's no other questions about the rezone,
Well, on commercial C1A, what does that limit versus,
Yeah, if it's,
what is the difference there?
C1A by right allows uses 8 and 9 use units. 8 is office, so that would generally, be denoting a small office, not a larger impact development. Use unit 9 allows for smaller types of retail, and that does include.
That's what C1A is?
That's what triggered the question about the alcohol sales.
Okay.
And Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just to answer the question, I know that one of the use units does allow beer and wine sales. However, I would point out that this is next to a school, so the ABC requirements associated with distances from schools would apply, and they would be required to get a permit from the state.
Thank you. Chris? So any other questions on the rezone? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 25-41? There is not. Then I will ask, do I have a motion to place ordinance 25-41 on its first reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So move.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Wiles?
Yes.
Rissler? Yes. Allen?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Christina?
Ordinance number 25-41, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, City Zoning Map, rezoning from R2 to C1A, property located at the 600 block of South Holly Street.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we will look at the resolution 44-25, which is the special use development permit for 600 block of South Holly Street. Kyle?
First off, mea culpa on the Scribner's error. Apologies for the confusion, Madam Mayor and directors. So this is at the same location that we were just looking at, 600 block of South Holly Street, same parcel. They're requesting to construct a mixed-use commercial development at the subject location. The associated request with this was the previous rezone request that we just heard. And upon our staff review, we found that the proposal is not expected to generate significant traffic as development on the site is limited due to the subject location size. The proposed use with the surrounding mixed-use area is compatible, which includes low-traffic commercial establishments along South Holly Street residential areas, as well as some institutional uses. City staff finds that the special use request as presented meets the minimum city requirements and is consistent with the surrounding existing commercial, residential, and institutional uses within the neighborhood. However, if approved, staff finds that the request should be subject to the following condition. Development of the subject property shall include a commercial use as outlined in the letter of intent accompanying the rezoning request on the subject property.
Thank you, sir. So, directors, I know that you all would like to hear from the developer, so if you want to come up and...
Hi, Phil Swope with Swope Consulting. We're representing the owner. I'm not the owner, but I've not heard anything about alcohol sales by anyone. So this is the first time I'm hearing any of that. The owner was just interested in a mixed-use development, so some multifamily and, which it's not a big lot, so it can't be a whole lot of multifamily, but also something commercial. So maybe an office or maybe something limited retail sales. That's as much as we have. We haven't developed a site plan yet. But we think it makes sense to have some of that multifamily buffering back in the back, and then the commercial will be closer to the front, is just about as far as we've gotten in our thought processes.
Okay, very good. So, yes, David.
Thank you, Phil, for being here. I've got a question. Is the owner, or not necessarily the owner, but whoever will run the commercial business plan to live then in the multifamily, or is that the strategy?
Or? Yeah, I haven't heard yet. So.
The multifamily, are they planning like an apartment building or or a duplex?
Just looking at the first, like the dimensions early on, I think maybe you're looking at 2 or 3 units. I mean, it's not going to be something very large. So maybe a glorified, duplex or triplex, something in that size range.
But then possibly a commercial building facing the street.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we'd love for them to do something all in the same building, but I don't know if it is out
would
for
make
that.
more sense, in the same
you
building.
would get better use out of that land, but it might be separate buildings, honestly.
Thank you again for being here.
Sure.
Sorry you had to wait till the very end.
Any other, Betsy?
Madam Mayor, just to explain, there's a Scribner's error. There were a couple lines initially in the agenda that said the commercial area was for alcohol sales. And
Okay.
being across the street from school, I took issue with that. And so I'm like, Chris, explain all this to me. And that's when he realized there was an error in the wording. It's removed. It's the way it's supposed to be now.
Great.
That's
Yeah,
There's a
where the
school right
alcohol
across
came
the
from.
street.
It was an accident.
No worries. I just want you to know we had no thoughts about any
Yeah,
of that.
no,
So-
no, and it was fixed. It was, yeah, but that's why, just the confusion. So, thank you.
Sure.
Surprise, you're going to open a liquor store.
Yeah, it's the first I'm hearing of it.
I do need your name and address for,
Oh, Phil
Clerk.
Swope, 613 South 58th Court in Rogers.
thank you very much. So any other questions, directors? No?
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Anyone else in the audience that would like to address this resolution? There being none, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 44-25 for special use development permit?
Moved. Second.
We have a motion to approve with conditions. Second, you agree
Oh, yeah.
with the conditions? Roll call.
Rissler? Yes. Allen?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Wiles?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you, everyone. With that, we will move to our administrator's report. Christina?
There were no expenditures in excess of $30,000 and none per Resolution 11-25. Just a reminder, the Siloam Springs City Staff Winter Meeting is this Friday evening, and the board is welcome to attend. The Siloam Springs Christmas Parade is Saturday, starting at 5:30. I'd also like to remind everyone that the registration for Holly Jolly ends December 8th, and Signature Plaza and Kale Properties have donated the prizes this year, and can't wait to see what people put out.
That's really, really nice. Appreciate that. So with that, I think we are ready to move to our director's reports. I do want to say thank you to everyone that was here and presented and for all the discussion that we had tonight. And Christina, you did a very good job reading that ordinance. Thank you. Hopefully that won't happen very often, but you know. So with that, I am going to start with you, Ken. I will end with you, David, and I think you have another motion. So, yes, Ken.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you, sir. Betsy?
Keep in mind with the cold weather, bring your pets in. Also, we have 2 great services as far as helping people with the cold and keeping people warm. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Lisa?
Nothing for tonight.
Nothing? Real quick, I just do want to say a quick thank you to our sanitation workers who picked up our trash the day after Thanksgiving whenever everyone else was at home enjoying an extra day off. They still came and picked up our trash and our recycled. So thank you for that. Appreciate that very much because that was in my area. Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to give a shout out to the city employees who are putting up all the decorations around town. It's looking awesome. Looking forward to the Christmas parade on Saturday. I met a gentleman today who's moved here from Nevada, and he's not been to one of our parades yet, so he's looking forward to that as well. We have a wonderful community here, and I'm looking forward to seeing it shine on Saturday night, as well as Santa. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Brad?
I like the change in the light exhibits. The question is specifically downtown in the park. Are we going to turn off the street lights so that our Christmas lights actually shine around the fountain area? So that's just a question out there because it kind of offsets the Christmas lights. And last, regarding annexation, I spoke with a gentleman in the foyer. In all honesty, I hope I am wrong. I hope this development exceeds my concerns and meets my expectations. Thank you.
David?
Christina does too, because she spent 15 minutes reading that ordinance.
On a side note, you're the second. It was a gift I gave to David Cameron before he parted. So,
That's what I was saying. In my
You're
30
welcome.
years, I've never seen it. I've never been here. Have you?
Alan had to do it. David Cameron did one.
I remember
Yeah.
voting, I remember changing my vote so Alan didn't have to do it.
Yeah, and
Huh?
who did? Oh, and Kevin did
thought I-
as the
I know I
interim.
changed my
Yes,
vote.
he sure
So he
did.
didn't have to.
Well,
What's that? I just
Kevin?
remember at
Yeah.
least one, Alan was going to have to, but I changed my vote so he wouldn't have to.
He may have, but Kevin did.
Kevin did during his
Whenever he
interim.
was here as interim.
Oh, really? Oh, goodness. Wow. Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just was going to echo my excitement for the winter meeting this Friday for the employees and the Christmas parade Saturday night. Sure would be nice if we had a light snow. It would be kind of beautiful. And I am glad the Holly Jolly home decor is still going on. I don't know if anybody remembers, but I'm surprised the chamber didn't bring it up earlier. The Pool of Siloam starts this month. It's at the amphitheater like last year, but I can't remember the date.
I was hoping somebody would know.
We were asking.
I seem to think it was the 10th, 11th, 12th, or something like that, but I don't remember.
I believe it's the weekend after the parade.
Yeah,
is what
which
it
would have been about. Okay. And then, Madam Mayor, on the executive session, I would like it to be moved to the next meeting.
So we have a request, then we won't have the executive session tonight. David was the one that had asked for it, so he is requesting next meeting. So if you'll move that to that agenda, that would be great.
And that's all I have, which is amazing.
That's
I mean, this
amazing.
is the shortest I've spoken in a long time on director comments, so let's
So
give
do
me
you
a
have a
prize.
motion?
Wait, Madam Mayor.
Wait.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Sorry, I'm tired.
Go ahead.
The Chris Lowe from GPS, from the executive search firm, he sent us some information and recommended, we have some board rules, but he talked about expanding on them, and we had all talked about expanding on them recently. So I printed off some. I haven't included everything that he sent to us. So I will look more thoroughly over it, integrate it, but this will give you all a start to say, ooh, like this, don't like this, redo this, start from scratch, whatever. So I just wanted to give y'all, I like paper because I can scratch through
But
it.
he
right?
also sent a breakdown of what he wanted the thing to go out to the candidates, the description of
yeah.
Siloam.
Yeah.
He wanted our
He
input
did.
on that too, didn't he? I think he said that and said if you see something that's wrong, let him know.
And there's one for you, Judy.
It was like 2 pages. I
Yeah, I saw
started it.
that.
I
Was-
didn't finish it.
look,
I
wait.
got
Wait,
distracted,
no, I think I gave you an extra because I
which
saved
is
you
easy
the
for me,
paper.
like squirrel.
I think that's right. If not,
Anything else, Betsy?
no.
So David, do you have a motion?
Oh, I have a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are adjourned.